60%. Chapter 341. Huakai watched the battle between the Baoyuguan guards and the Donghu army every day at Baoyuguan. After all, the White Tiger Regiment had only 2,000 people, and the 2,000 reserve regiments also made 4,000. After half a month of defense, the casualties are now nearly half. Yu Jun had already begun to send slaves and militias to defend the city as much as possible. In July, the Donghu army gradually mastered the method to deal with the Baoyuguan. They knew that the main force in front of them was actually more than 2,000 elite city defenders. The slaves and militias were not a threat to them, so they began to send out. Experts above the Qi level will try their best to kill the White Tiger Legion. According to the news from Jicheng, East Hu's army has already occupied more than 10 cities in the Yan Kingdom after entering the Great Wall from the north of the Yan Kingdom. In the decisive battle of the Kingdom of Yan, the Kingdom of Yan is now at an absolute disadvantage. The Yan Kingdom has won several battles with less and more defeats. Hua Kai came to Yu Jun's war room and said to him, Yu Jun has not had a good rest for many days. He is the only one in the White Tiger Legion, Shantian. It is not easy to prepare for the enemy's surprise attack. The Patriarch thinks how much threat East Hu will pose to the Yan state this time, and if this continues, the entire Yan state may be in chaos. Yu Jun said while looking at Hua Kai. Hua Kai once said that the Yan family can easily solve the threats of the East Hu and Zhu, Feng and other big families, but now there is a trend of chaos in the northern part of Yan. Haha, this can only show that King Yan is cruel. You didn't see Qiguo and other aristocratic families not panicking at all. We sent someone to Qiguo to ask for help, and the other party didn't even bother to reply. This time, the Yan family completely solved the domestic alien family at one time. When it was time to jump out, some families would definitely not be able to help it. This just happened to allow the Yan family to solve it all at once. If I were the king of East Hu, I would not have noticed these. The main target of the East Hu's attack this time would definitely be Jialiu County. Zhu, Feng and other families wanted to occupy the Magpie's Nest to seize the right to speak in East Hu. How could King East Hu put the core of the attack on State Yan? No matter what aspect of Donghu State this time, it must take our Hua family. Hua Kai said silently. Yu Jun nodded when he heard this. The Leopard Yuguan battle has lost more than 2,000 elites, nearly 10,000 slaves, and more than 3,000 militiamen. Now the White Tiger Legion is under increasing pressure, at most half a month. The White Tiger Legion is about to be consumed. Let the Vermilion Bird Legion come. Recently, you have used Jialiucheng slave soldiers more, and the fighting may become more intense in the future. We can't consume all the White Tiger Legion here, Hua Kai said in a deep voice. The main force of the Vermilion Bird Legion is composed of all affiliated families and family members of the Hua family. They are powerful but not good at defensive. They can't defend the city wall by relying on slave soldiers. Huakai's slave soldiers and Vermilion Bird Legion will inevitably lose heavy losses, but they are here. They had to do so. It can only be so. I will ask the White Tiger Corps to train the Vermilion Bird Corps this afternoon. Tomorrow, I will only leave some White Tiger Corps commanders. Yu Jun nodded and said. Hua Kai also didn't want to fight a war of attrition with Donghu. He hadn't made a move and was looking for an opportunity. If he grasped this opportunity, he might be able to defeat Donghu in one fell swoop. However, King Donghu seemed extremely calm. He never showed up in the army, and Huakai's plan could not be implemented. When the Vermilion Bird Corps became the main defensive force at the Leopard Yuguan Pass, the Donghu army was often able to slam the upper city wall. Members of the families of Jialiu County all resisted to the death, and the waves of Donghu army were pressed down the city wall, but the Vermilion Bird army lost. The losses were also heavy. Only the 5,000 Vermilion Bird Legion had more than 2,000 casualties in 10 days, and the Jialiucheng slave soldiers suffered more than 15 injuries. The Hua family had already left more than 30,000 corpses at Leopard Yuguan. The East Hu army suffered more losses than the Hua family. They suffered more than 100,000 casualties. Now they have relied on elite cavalry to dismount to attack the city to have a chance to board the barrier. Both sides are making the last insistence. On this day, Hua Kai stood under the city wall and saw the Vermilion Bird Legion retreating to the enemy again. Now that the Vermilion Bird Legion is almost crippled, he has notified his fourth uncle Hua Zuan to dispatch the 2,000 Black Tortoise Legion. Only 2,000 reserve members of the Black Tortoise Legion were left for the defense of Takaliu City. The offensive of the East Hu army today is very fierce. Many of their soldiers are climbing up the ladder with long spears. The leopard Yuguan bows and arrows on their leather armor cannot cause much damage to them. The East Hu army sent their own elite cavalry. NS. Long weapons are not conducive to siege. Long weapons are a burden when climbing a ladder. But these Donghu elites walked like flying on the ladder, climbing the city very fast. Yu Jun has sent 5,000 slave soldiers and 1,000 Vermilion Bird Legion elites to stop them, but today it is difficult to press the opponent down. Some walls have been breakthroughs, and there are Donghu. The soldiers are almost breaking through the wall defense. After closing the wall, the commanders of the White Tiger Corps ordered all the slaves to rush up to block the enemy's attack. The Azure Dragon Corps continued to kill every enemy that appeared in front of them, or be killed by the enemy. At this time, Wakai saw a White Tiger Corps soldier covered in blood approaching and shouting at him. Patriarch, the East Hu army has launched a general offensive. Commander Yu told you to prepare to deal with the opponent's Shantian realm. The East Hu army has all assembled and left the camp. They are going to fight us decisively. As he was talking, Wakai saw a Donghu Shantian realm who had already penetrated the city wall. He escaped the besieged slaves and hunted down the elite soldiers of the White Tiger and Vermilion Bird legions. Wakai stretched out his right hand, and the gentian gun appeared in his hand. He stretched out and quickly killed the opponent's Shantian realm. It was just a breath that Wakai crossed a distance of 100 meters, and the opponent seemed to feel dangerous and turned. Looking over at Wakai. Gentian spear stabbed to the opponent's chest, ice force naturally blended with true chi, and the Shantian realm ignored other attacks around him and fully defended Wakai's spear. But when the big knife in his hand collided with the gentian gun, a look of horror appeared on the face of Donghu Shantian realm. He could hear the clear sound of broken bones in his arm, and finally escaped Huakai's full blow. A powerful ice force entered his body, and before he could react, Wakai Gentiana gun killed again. Donghu Shantian Jing's eyes widened with fear, his neck was pierced by the gentian gun, and the whole person quickly turned into an ice sculpture. Wakai killed one of the opponent's Shantian realm, and saw that another one of the opponent's aura training realm had reached the barrier wall. He solved the opponent's life with one move. Seeing that the formation of the city wall could be stabilized, he waited for the opponent on the inner layer of the barrier wall. The master comes over. All Shantian realms could not go through at most 10 moves in Huakai's hands, and they were all left in the leopard Yuguan. Huakai had killed 5 Shantian realms and more than 20 late-stage experts, leopard in just over an hour. Yuguan looked shaky, but Donghu army could not break through after all. Another Donghu Shantian was killed. Huakai saw a 5-meter wide gap in the city wall. Countless Donghu soldiers rushed from there. They had entered the Baoyu Pass and started street fighting. The Baoyu Pass had been holding for 2 months. Seems to have been unable to hold on. Huakai jumped on the wall and killed the opponents above the Qi level. There are still 30,000 troops in Leopard Yuguan, and 20,000 troops in Guanan are waiting. Even if Donghu army breaks through the wall of Leopard Yuguan, he wants to enter Guanan. One step is not easy. After killing for half an hour, Wakai killed the other 3 Shantians and more than 40 people in the Qi training realm. He could clearly feel that he had begun to be affected by karma, and he couldn't help but become irritable. He entered the half-step foundation building. The influence of karma on people is getting bigger and bigger, so he had to meet the late stage and above before he shot. Patriarch, be careful. Yu Jun's voice came from the side, and Wakai saw a figure outside Guan quickly flying towards him. He used true eyes to check the cultivation base on the 5th floor of the foundation building. This was the king of East Hu. Donghu Wang had tolerated until now. Seeing that all the cards in the Leopard Jade Pass had come out, he took the Leopard Jade Pass in one fell swoop. Wakai saw that some of the worries in his heart were also let go. He saw that the Azure Dragon Legion in the distance was already launching an attack on the Donghu army, and the tens of thousands of Donghu elite cavalry were inextricably separated from their killing. The Donghu army deployed too many masters to attack the Leopard Yuguan wall. There are very few masters above the Qi level in the cavalry behind. Hua Zichen is leading the Azure Dragon army to quickly kill the elite cavalry of Donghu. Breaking through Leopard Yuguan, Hua Zichen was able to break through the defense of the opposing team's 50,000 troops and infiltrate the Donghu army's forage camp. A phantom tiger head spear over 10 meters long appeared in the sky above Baoyuguan. All the Donghu soldiers couldn't help but feel energetic when they saw it. It was their king who shot it. Wakai watched the gun shadow killing himself, knowing that the main goal of the opponent's shot was to boost the morale of his soldiers. The vision and phantom seemed to be powerful, but in fact, the area is large and the attack power is scattered, and the effect is very small. The other party didn't put him in one's eyes at all. Huakai raised the Gentiana gun and gathered the force of the ice on the gun body, and rushed towards Donghu King. Leopard Yu closed and suddenly became cold. Huakai Dragon Bile gun pierced the opponent's Tiger Head gun phantom and collide with the opponent. Boom! A clear golden chime sounded. Huakai withdrew more than 10 meters in the air, and King Donghu also withdrew more than 5 meters. The two steadied themselves and fought with each other. Compared with the Shantian realm, the foundation building realm is the mastery of the willpower of the heaven and the earth, and any of their moves carry their own understanding of the will of the heaven and the earth. Huakai's 3 attributes are not lower than that of King Donghu. Although he has not completed the foundation building yet, his close to 40% of the ice force has caused a lot of trouble to the Donghu army. Huakai is not afraid of the influence of the opponent's Jin's will on his own. But the other party was unable to offset Huakai's willpower. The two of them fought in the air for more than 10 minutes. Huakai has always been at a disadvantage, but he has been able to remain undefeated. He has suffered a few hard encounters with the opponent, and his body has suffered serious injuries, and the opponent is also affected by him. Under the influence of the power of ice, the action began to become slower and slower. 61%. Chapter 342 Unexpected Reinforcement. After another move with the opponent, Huakai felt that the opponent's injury became more serious and his actions began to slow down. Every time East Hu King attacked Huakai, he felt that the power of the 5 Uncle Jin's rules was surrounding him, affecting his connection with ice force. Fortunately, the comprehension of the opponent's Jin's will is much worse than his own ice force comprehension, and he cannot cause damage to his will or mental energy. After more than 10 moves against the opponent again, King Donghu also saw that Huakai was not in the foundation building realm, but only relied on ice force's understanding and exquisite martial skill to deal with him, and his attack power was not that strong. So Donghu Wang mostly adopted the injury for injury style of play. Although Huakai had a purple golden ice silkworm armor, he could not hold it for many attacks in the face of the foundation building. After he fought the opponent again, he felt sulking in his chest. His internal organs were already injured, and he took out a rejuvenation pill. Huakai had just taken it, and King Donghu didn't give him time to absorb it, and continue. Kill. Huakai blocked the opponent's attack again. His 2 arms were about to lose consciousness. King Donghu's strength was much greater than him. When he quickly retreated many times to resist the attack, he felt Wushu and Tang Leiki. He came to support himself with Shenju. K, you recover for a while first, and the 2 of us entangle him. Hua Zichen rode Tianlongju to kill King Donghu. Huakai knew that Wushu and Tang Lei would not be easy to deal with a Shantian Zochin. Facing the middle stage of the foundation building, Donghu King could hardly resist a single move. He did not dare to waste time, trying to digest the medicinal properties of rejuvenating pill. At this time, Tianlongju let out a scream. Wushu, Hua Zichen and King Donghu were killed together, and his charge of attack was just to make Donghu army retreated for half. Within meters, his whole body was impacted by golden wool, and he was seriously injured and fell to the ground with Tianlongju. Tang Lei's killer move arrived at this time. He Azure Dragon Yanyu knife and the opponent Tiger Head spear met with each other, and none of the physical physiques in the foundation building level was defeated. Huakai was about to go up to rescue Tang Lei, and suddenly felt his whole body. A burst of heat. Sky Fire Body Forging Pill. The medicinal effect has exploded at this time. Huakai felt a burning pain all over his body. This time the fire will in Sky Fire Body Forging Pill was stronger than the last time. He didn't care too much and carried the Genshin gun to kill him. After Tang Lei had 2 moves with the other party, he felt that his internal organs were about to be torn apart by golden will. At this time, fortunately, Huakai arrived in time and he didn't let King Donghu directly kill him. Huakai's whole body was hot and unbearable. He gathered his whole body the power of ice to rescue Tang Lei from King Donghu's gun. He saw King Donghu continue to attack him, and he was about to hide in the family secret realm space. At this moment, suddenly I saw a figure flying over here on the city wall. King Donghu was completely attracted by Huakai in front of him. He saw Huakai's whole body as if he was breathing fire, thinking that he had just taken explosive medicine pill. Although Huakai has not yet succeeded in foundation building, his understanding of willpower is stronger than most foundation building environments. As long as he really succeeds in foundation building, he will surely become the top existence in foundation building. He can't let Huakai leave. If he doesn't kill the opponent today and wait for the success of the Huakai foundation building in Japan, then this will be a disaster for the entire Donghu country. King Donghu thought that he had paid enough attention to the Hua family, and had already overwhelmed all the elites that Donghu country could send, but he found that he still underestimated the Hua family. Hua Kai deliberately ignored the flying shadows. He felt that his own consciousness was about to dissipate under the influence of Fire's will, and suddenly bit Owen's tongue. A trace of blood overflowed from the corner of his mouth. He desperately continued to King Donghu kill it. King Donghu and Hua Kai fought together again. He could feel that Hua Kai's power was fading rapidly, and golden will wandered through his body. Ice force in his body had begun to erode his internal organs. If the battle is resolved as soon as possible, he may also be seriously injured. Picking up the tiger head gun and chasing Huakai, he saw that Huakai's eyes had become fascinated, and he couldn't help but happy, but at this time a strong sense of crisis came, and he hurriedly turned around and saw a pair of eyes-flushing golden mastiff eyes. Xiaoqiang felt that the owner's life was in danger, and Huakai once told him that it could not make a move without his order. Xiaoqiang has always obeyed Huakai's orders at Leopard Yuguan, and has never disobeyed Huakai's will. But this time was different. Xiaoqiang could feel that the owner's life aura was getting weaker and weaker. At this time, it had ignored everything and succeeded in attacking Donghu King during Huakai's crisis. When King Donghu saw Xiaoqiang, his back had been sunk by Xiaoqiang's front paws for more than 10 centimeters, and his whole body armor was shattered in this strike. Xiaoqiang had turned on the furious state, and all his intelligence was converted into strength. Yaipa almost killed King Donghu. King Donghu vomited a mouthful of blood. He saw Xiaoqiang open his blood basin and bite at his neck. If this bite is firm, he won't be killed. In an emergency, he could only raise his right hand to block in front of him. Xiaoqiang bit his right arm with one bite, and King Donghu's entire right arm was directly bitten off with blood flowing. What? Seeing that his right arm had been broken, King Donghu roared with his left hand and punched Xiaoqiang on the head, but Xiaoqiang's mouth was bleeding, but he had completely lost his reason and continued to attack King Donghu. King Donghu looked at Hua Kai, who was crumbling in the air, and turned around and fled to the north. He knows that if he doesn't leave, he may not be able to leave. Ice force has penetrated into his internal organs. He feels that golden will has been suppressed. Even mental energy is somewhat difficult to use, plus losses. With one arm, he has completely lost combat effectiveness. Hua Kai watched the opponent flee and tried to intercept it, but he was unable to do it. He felt the sky fire body pill burned in his body like a fire, so he could not help but use true chi and ice will to suppress the fire in his body. The will, and then the whole person falls towards the ground. In the process of falling, Hua Kai seemed to see Urantuya flying from a distance riding Cloud Leopard, and then he lost consciousness. Xiaoqiang, who had been chasing Donghu King, just chased out 100 meters, and turned to look at Hua Kai, who was falling towards the ground. His eyes gradually returned to normal from blood red, and he gave up chasing Donghu King and chased in the direction where Hua Kai fell. And when everyone on the battlefield hadn't realized that King Donghu had already fled, a white figure appeared on the far horizon. The figure turned into a white panther claw phantom and chased the escaped King Donghu. King Donghu screamed. A claw hit, and fell to the ground without a sound. This dramatic glance stunned everyone. The so powerful King Donghu was killed by a demonic beast that suddenly appeared, because they saw that after King Donghu fell to the ground, the sky clouds and mist quickly gathered over the head of Leopard Jade. After a while, there was a continuous drizzle on the grassland. This is the vision only when the monarch falls. Everyone knows that King Donghu is dead. The army of Donghu climbed the wall and watched this scene. Everyone could not help but freeze. They couldn't believe that King On was really dead. The little Leopard Jade Pass. The demonic beasts in the distance walked slowly towards the Leopard Jade Pass. The battlefield was quiet, and everyone couldn't help looking at the pure white leopard that came out of the air. Someone finally found the leopard sitting on its back, with a beautiful girl. The girl was wearing a red brocade dress with golden eagle-like patterns carved on it. Her eyes looked at Hua Kai lying on Xiaoqiang's back with a worried look. Regardless of the gazes of everyone around, Urantuya rode Clouded Leopard and quickly approached Hua Kai. Everyone on the battlefield looked at Clouded Leopard on the back of Urantuya as if seeing a holy fairy descending. Cannot be blasphemy. Xiaoqiang saw crossing Cloud Leopard and Urantuya approaching it, slowly retreating step by step, and roared at the other side with warning. Even if he knew it was not the opponent of the white leopard, he would swear to protect his master. At this time, Hua Zichen and Tang Lei, who had fallen from the sky, rode to Xiaoqiang on their horses. Hua Zichen looked at Urantuya. Although he was not sure of each other's identity, but they often listened to Huakai and Erzhuang in the family space. Shui Chen and others' introduction to Yurantuya also guessed that the leopard in front was Cloud Leopard, and the woman who was like a fairy who did not eat the fireworks was Huakai's future wife and Jialiu County's future daughter. The master. Xiaoqiang, it's not an enemy. Hua Zichen said when he came to Xiaoqiang's side. Xiaoqiang's intelligence as a spirit beast is not worse than that of others. He feels that the other party is not hostile to him, and the woman on the back of the spirit beast expresses concern for her owner, so he calms down. All the defenders at the Leopard Jade Pass saw this powerful spirit beast and fairy on their side. The morale of the Donghu soldiers retreated steadily, and within half an hour they regained control of the entire Leopard Jade Pass and attacked. The Donghu soldiers at Baoyuguan Pass were being surrounded and wiped out little by little, and the Donghu soldiers outside the pass began to retreat slowly. Yurantuya looked at Huakai, who was covered in red, frowned, and drove Clear Cloud Leopard eagerly towards him, seeming to ignore everything around him. Xiaoqiang looked at Warentuya, who was walking towards him, and stood still. Warentuya came to Huakai with tears in her eyes. She stretched out her hand and gently stroked Huakai's face. Huakai seemed to have feeling, the brows eased slightly. Hua Zichen sent Huakai and Warentuya back to General Baoyuguan's mansion, and everyone retreated and they handed Huakai to Warentuya to take care of them. They continue to return to the battlefield. It is not the time to relax. The Baoyuguan still has nearly 200,000 Donghu army. By this time, the Hua family can't say that they have won. Yurantuya looked at Hua Kai, who was in a coma, and she was extremely worried. Although she was only practicing qi, she also knew that Hua Kai was not a simple trauma, and he had to rely on himself to recover. She gently placed Hua Kai's head on her lap, stroked his flushed face, and silently sang the ballad she had taught Hua Kai. The people outside the general's mansion heard Yurantuya's beautiful singing, and finally knew why Patriarch On hadn't had a concubine for so many years, and they were so happy that Patriarch could find such a fairy-like beauty. 61%. Chapter 343, Awakening. Hua Kai is struggling to fight the will of fire in his body. He can feel someone speaking to himself. Every time the other person touches his own face, his body pressure will be slightly less. When he regains consciousness again, he listens. The chirping of birds outside the courtyard. Smelling the familiar and special scent, his heart was extremely warm and quiet, and Yurantuya opened her eyes and looked at herself with her big eyes. You're awake. How do you feel? Warentuya was looking at herself with concern. Why are you here? Hua Kai asked while looking at Yurantuya. I'm afraid you might misunderstand, so I came to you. I happened to see you injured, but I have already killed the bad guy with Xiaoyun. Yurantuya said as if asking for credit. You are more beautiful than before. Hua Kai couldn't help but said looking at Warentuya. Listening to Hua Kai's words, Yurantuya blushed and leaned against his arms. She felt Hua Kai's heart felt as if they were by the Shuangsheng Lake before. Why do you work so hard? My father seldom makes any moves. Warentuya found a comfortable position and leaned in Huakai's arms and said softly. Every man has his own responsibilities, and I have to do something that must be done. Hua Kai stroked Yurantuya's hair. He didn't know why she exuded such a peculiar fragrance. My father brought tribal soldiers to the Xiaoyu country this year. The two big families of the Yichu kingdom joined the Xiaoyu country. My father has been unable to completely wipe out each other for a few months. He returned to the Ujumukan tribe a few days ago. I wanted to let the tribe who took refuge in me participate in the war, but I had to borrow Xiaoyun to use it. I didn't agree, Yurantuya said to Huakai. After the Ujumukan tribe unified the Dayu kingdom is much stronger than the Xiaoyu kingdom. Even the remnants of Linhu and Yichu kingdom are not opponents of the Dayu kingdom, as long as your father is king. Don't make too many mistakes, at least you won't lose. Hua Kai said. Then our marriage needs to be postponed forever. Yurantuya said unhappily. Now the Ujumchin tribe is in need of you. Your father is fighting abroad, and you can stabilize the rear of the Great Moon Kingdom. If you accumulate strength, even if your father is defeated, the strength of the Great Moon Kingdom is still there. If the prestige of the Chomokan tribe is still there, the Great Moon Kingdom will always be a powerful country. Zhuang said that more than half of the tribes of the Dayu kingdom have taken refuge in you, right? Hua Kai asked. It's mainly because of the commodities, grains and green fodder that the Chinese family sent to the Ujumchin tribe. They don't want to take risks with my father and king. They don't have to do much to take refuge in me. I have to take care of them. What do you think of these tribes when I get married? Bring them all here, Yurantuya said. The number of people in your tribe and slaves is probably close to 1 million, and there are millions of cattle and sheep. It is very difficult to migrate to Jaliu County. If the Wa family has a population of nearly 1 million, the nearby forces will be tense, which is not a good thing for the Wa family now. When the Jaliu County War is over, I would like to go to the Ujumukan tribe again to help you select some qualified subordinates and train some magic horses and BMWs, so that your position in the Great Moon Kingdom will be more stable. After you marry in Jaliu City, your staying in the Dayu clan will be very important to the Wa family and your father. Quote. Yurantuya also knows why her father king can suddenly control the entire Dayu kingdom. This is ostensibly because of the medicine pill provided by Huakai, and the key reason is the list that Huakai gave to the Ujumukan Patriarch. Are you going to the Ujumukan tribe? That's great, Warentuya said happily when he heard that Huakai was going to the Great Moon Kingdom. But when I will go depends on the end of the army with Donghu. I won't stay in the Ujumchin tribe for too long. Do you know the place west of the Dayu kingdom? Huakai suddenly asked the Ujumchin tribe arrive. The southwest of Dayu Kingdom is all surrounded by snowy mountains, and the Gobi Desert in the north is Dawan. It is rich in Dawan horses, not worse than the 8 famous horses. Dawan is a small country, and to the north is Wusan. It is a powerful country, older than the Dayu Kingdom, but they rarely have contact with people, and very few caravans can go to Uzbekistan. Sun Guos, Yurantuya said to Wakai. Where to go further west? Wakai looked at Warentuya. To the west is the endless desert. Legend has it that there are demonic beasts with various cultivations for thousands of years. You can enter the resting place after you walk thousands of miles of the desert. There is a place abandoned by heaven and earth without spiritual chi. Warentuya said without hesitation. As a temple worshipper, Urantuya has no less understanding of this world than Huakai. In the hearts of all the central plains, the Dayu Kingdom is the westernmost country in the world. However, Huakai has seen the introduction to the resting place in many historical books, and summarized it in 3 sentences. Heaven and earth have no spiritual chi, each city-state and tribe has their own gods, and high-level heavenly and mortal treasures often encounter it. Huakai has collected the entire central plains and the types of elixir in the grassland, and all the elixir that can be collected. The collection of advanced elixir has been slow, so Huakai has the idea of going to the resting place. As long as they pass, rely on family secret realm space, he can obtain unimaginable elixir and wealth. Wakai thought he had been in a coma for a long time, but finally heard Urantuya say that it was only one night. This time the Skyfire body forging pill took only half a day to absorb the medicinal property. He checked his attribute physique ascension by 3 points, and his vigor value was a bit higher. Huakai's 3D attributes have reached the level of foundation building late stage. But he still did not succeed in the foundation building. In addition, he found that his ice will has entered the 4th level. If he encounters King Donghu now, he can remain undefeated by looking at the power of will on the 4th level. Most people who enter the foundation building are from the Lingbao foundation building with the power of heaven and earth will, so the foundation building is simple, but it will be more difficult for Ascension's own will power in the future to be promoted to a better level. Possible. The use of his own power of will foundation building will be a long process. My father originally had the opportunity to foundation building a long time ago, but he has always insisted on comprehending himself ice will, generally only his own power of will. When you enter the 2nd floor, the foundation building is very likely. Power of will. There are few foundation buildings to enter the 3rd floor. Legend has it that after the 4th floor power of will is gold core, you should be quick, then the foundation building will succeed. Quote. Huakai and Urantuya talked about the foundation building, and Urantuya said to Huakai. Urantuya is often in the Snow Mountain Temple, and she knows more about power of will and foundation building than Huakai. The Wa family has never had a foundation building before. Huakai can't get advice from others. His teacher is in Jixia Academy. He can also go to Lindsay City to inquire about the future of Zheng's participation in the Sage Foundation building, but Wakai does not want to go to Lindsay City now. Foundation building pays attention to letting the flow take its course. Wakai does not deliberately pursue this. His qualification has reached SS+. It is inevitable to enter the foundation building realm. Perhaps the body completes the natural cycle of power of will and establishes communication with the world. The bridge only needs an occasional epiphany. Hearing noises coming from outside the general's mansion, Wakai and Urantuya left the house. Wakai saw Yujun and the maid standing outside the courtyard waiting together, knowing that they were worried about their own bodies. Lord, how is your body? Yu Jun said. Huakai has been able to fight the foundation building undefeated, and the opponent is still a veteran king, and has the qualifications to be called a man. As a vassal of the Hua family, Yu Jun should be called the Lord of Huakai. Tianwo body forging pill. Suddenly the effect of the medicine has taken place, and now it is fine. How is Donghu army now? Hua Kai asked. Warentuya stood by Hua Kai obediently, holding his hand silently, listening to Hua Kai and Yu Jun talking. The king of East Hu is dead. The East Hu army may be the last one to be crazy today, but they no longer exist in the foundation building realm. Yesterday, the Shantian realm suffered a lot. It is impossible to win the Leopard Jade Pass. Wu Yi is leading the Azure Dragon army to monitor the Donghu army. Flee, Yu Jun said. The East Hu army no longer has the foundation building status, and it is impossible for them to easily evacuate. The Azure Dragon Legion is now fully capable of biting the opponent and leaving most of the East Hu army behind. It depends on how much the Hua family is willing to pay. How many people are on the other side? The army of Donghu in the country of Yan shouldn't know that King Donghu is dead. This time we have the opportunity to let Donghu keep all the elites here. At that time, the outside of Baoyuguan will become the ranch of the Hua family, so that everyone can pursue it. Prepare for Donghu army, Hua Kai said. Donghu country has invaded Jialiu city for many years. This time we will take the opportunity to take revenge. How many slaves in Donghu country are captured from Jialiu county? We must capture all the nobles of Donghu country and rescue the captured people. Let me captives from the central plains to enslave the Donghu people. Yu Jun couldn't help but excited when he heard Hua Kai say this. There are countless insults in the central plains by Donghu, and Donghu has never regarded the people of central plains as human beings. In the past, the Central Plains cavalry was not an opponent of the East Hu cavalry, but now the situation is about to be reversed. Coming to the wall of Baoyuguan, Huakai saw that the Donghu army had already lined up and started to step out of the barracks and were ready to attack the Baoyuguan. This time they sent more than 100,000 troops to fight the Baoyuguan for the last time. They only left more than 50,000 elite cavalry on the periphery to guard against the raids of the Azure Dragon Legion. Without the king of Donghu, the Azure Dragon Legion would pose too much of a threat to them. Officers at all levels of the White Tiger Corps have begun to organize the Vermilion Bird Corps, the Black Tortoise Corps, the militia and the slave soldiers to prepare for the defense of the wall. Every 500 people in the Leopard Jade Pass are waiting for the arrival of the war. The wall area is limited. Today's battle is likely to be carried out in Leopard Jade Pass. Yu Jun, Hua Kai said suddenly beside Yu Jun. Master, Yu Jun heard Hua Kai aloud and looked up at him. Let all the cavalry of the Azure Dragon Reserve and Vermilion Bird Corps prepare, and all the captains of the White Tiger Corps and all the militia regiments who have horses will mount and prepare. Hua Kai watched as Donghu Daijin marched step by step outside the Leopard Yuguan Pass, right? Yu Jun said. My lord, are we going to go out of the city to play field with the opponent? Yu Jun asked in surprise. The Hua family has a Leopard Jade Pass so magnificent and does not need it. It is unwise to run out to play field with the opponent. Go get ready. 61%. Chapter 344. Yu Jun drew out all the elites of the Leopard Yuguan, and soon the Azure Dragon Reserve Regiment, Vermilion Bird Army Cavalry, Militia Cavalry and more than 10,000 people were standing neatly at the gate of Guanay City, waiting for the door to be opened. They all rushed out in a moment. Only a few militiamen and slave soldiers were left on the wall. They looked at the few regular soldiers around them in panic, but they stood in their own position and waited for the moment when Donghu army attacked the wall. The Donghu army was getting closer and closer to the Leopard Yuguan. Some Donghu soldiers came towards the Leopard Yuguan carrying the repaired gimbal. Huakai saw that everyone was close to each other in response to the Azure Dragon army's raid. Take out a slab-sized metal block in the portable space. Yu Jun saw Huakai's sky-shocking thunder with a look of horror. As long as he saw the danger of sky-shocking thunder, no one would not be afraid of it. Then there was a surprise in his heart. The power of the East Hu's army can be imagined. Huakai plunged mental energy into this sky-shaking thunder. He immediately got in touch with the sky-shaking thunder. This is already the last one. He was useless many times before when the Leopard Jade Pass was dangerous. Taken out today, is to use it to completely destroy the resistance of Donghu country. Everyone bow their heads and get down, all get down. Yu Jun hurriedly yelled when he saw Huakai starting to throw sky-shocking thunder. Everyone on the wall didn't know what happened, but they still obeyed Yu Jun's order to lie behind the parapet wall. Close your ears, and be optimistic about Clear Cloud Leopard. Wakai said to Warentuya, who was beside her. Warentuya looked at the little thing in Wakai's hand. Although she didn't know what it was, she had a foreboding that it could cause fatal harm to her, so she obediently covered her ears and watched Wakai's next performance. Huakai identified the position of the Middle Army of the East Hu Army, where the leaders of the East Hu Army were located. Shaking thunder flew out of the Leopard Yuguan city wall, and flew accurately towards the center of the Donghu army. All Donghu soldiers saw something flying towards their army position, but no one cared, it was so small. How many people can something kill? When the shaking thunder flew to a position about 10 meters above the Donghu army center, Huakai's spirit moved, and a strong explosion became the most unforgettable nightmare for many people in their lives. Wakai blocked Urantuya behind him, and a strong aftermath of blasting across his face stabbed, and the injury of running true chi would soon recover. When the explosion was over, the battlefield was quiet. Everyone within a 500-meter radius from the center of the East Hu's army was either fragmented or lying motionless on the ground. Not far away, the brains of some people above the aerodynamic level are completely blank, and their ears are still deaf and have not recovered. With the center of the explosion center of shaking thunder as the radius, everyone within 5 miles is either injured or lost. Even monitoring Azure, the East Hu elite cavalry of the Dragon Legion were all turned on their backs by the bombing, and they didn't form a formation. Azure Dragon Corps was about 5 miles north of Donghu Army, about 10 miles away from the explosion center. After they saw the explosion at Donghu Army Center, many horses were also shocked, but Hua Zichen was shocked when he saw this place. How can I not know how this is for a while? Hurry up, everyone launches an offensive with me. Hua Zichen shouted when he saw the opportunity. The Azure Dragon Corps reacted, and more than a dozen Shantian realms took the lead in quickly appeasing their own horses and began to charge the Donghu army. At this time, many people in the Donghu army were still in a state of loss. A Donghu Shantian who was in the rear army was far away from the explosion center. His body was not seriously injured. Shantian True Chi's whole body quickly returned to normal when he saw the Azure Dragon army. I was organizing to chase my camp, shouting that all the cavalry lined up for defense, but the horses were in shock. Many cavalrymen were also deaf. Seeing the Azure Dragon army getting closer and closer, he could only be alone. Fleeing far away, if you don't run away, you may really die today. When the Azure Dragon army quickly rushed through the East Hu cavalry, and continued to rush towards the East Hu Zongjun at an unabated speed, everyone at Baoyuguan closed the reaction. The Leopard Jade Pass was only 6 miles away from the explosion center. Although it was protected by a wall, many slaves and militiamen had not recovered at this time. Yu Jun has already begun to organize the people inside the pass to launch a confession to the Donghu army. The Baoyuguan gate opened wide. Yu Jun, Wamo and others led tens of thousands of cavalry out of Baoyuguan. Just kill. Many of these Donghu soldiers saw the Baoyuguan guard army walking a few meters away from them, and then they realized that countless Donghu soldiers were killed. Hua Zichen's position in the Donghu front army didn't care about the Azure Dragon army's team shape. Now the East Hu army has no formation, and they don't need to organize a charge. It was the Donghu slave soldiers who couldn't hold it in the first place, and they knelt and surrendered one after another. The Vermilion Bird Legion and the militiamen in Baoyuguan came out and held these slaves together, and then the entire Baoyuguan soldiers rushed out of the customs. They tied together some Donghenu soldiers who had not yet woken up, and started to catch them again. Captured the prisoners. Wait for me at Leopard Yuguan, I'll come when I go. Wakai saw that the Azure Dragon Corps had already been killed with the Donghu elite cavalry. Although the formation of the Donghu cavalry was chaotic, there were a number of them in the Qi and Shantian realms. Not a lot. Some Shantian realms have caused a lot of damage to the Azure Dragon Legion. If he organizes the East Hu cavalry, it will take effort for the Azure Dragon Legion to win the opponent. I'll be with you. Warentuya looked at Wakai and said. Warentuya is protected by Clouded Leopard. There is no danger. Wakai nodded and agreed after thinking about it. Quickly returned to the house to retrieve Lu Ma, Wakai leapt into the air to kill Leopard Yuguan. At this time, all Donghu soldiers outside the Guan had awakened from the influence of shaking thunder. Most of them were already affected by leopards. The Yuguan garrison took control, and some people began to flee. Wamo and Yu Jun led the Azure Dragon Reserve Corps, and tens of thousands of soldiers were chasing the fled Donghu cavalry, and the Azure Dragon Corps was chasing and killing the Donghu Wangqi who was still fighting together. And elite. There are nearly 20 Shantian realms in the Hua family. This makes Donghu elite cavalry no opponents at all. Hua Zichen led the Azure Dragon army to charge several times, splitting the main Donghu generals. Donghu elites kept falling and being killed. Huakai saw how many of the opponents were. The name Shantian realm was organizing resistance together. He vacated the air to chase the opponent. Seeing that Huakai was powerful and incompetent, the opponent scattered around and fled. Huakai killed the 3 opponents in the Shantian realm and continued to look for the other in the Shantian realm. His karma is already strong and he can't massacre at will, but after more than 10 minutes, Donghu elite began to escape again. The 3000 Donghu King Qi is indeed the trump card of the Donghu country. Even if they were dissipated, they quickly gathered together and made the final entanglement with the Azure Dragon army. Huakai broke into the Donghu King's riding formation and killed more than a dozen opponents. The opponent's resistance will not retreat in the slightest. After more than 2 hours of chasing and killing, the Azure Dragon army chased more than 200 miles. At this time, only about 2,000 Donghu Wangqi was still running away. The other elite Donghu cavalry had been wiped out by the Azure Dragon army, but Donghu Wangqi was still there. In retreating to the north with all their strength, they were scattered by the Azure Dragon army many times, but they were able to get together again soon, which made people have to admire their fighting will. The Azure Dragon Legion had no intention of letting the opponent escape, and all the Shantian realms of the Azure Dragon Legion had already killed a lot of enemies today. Both sides are the most elite core of duty, and they are starting to wear out here. Huakai followed Donghu Wang riding behind him and watched the other party continue to have soldiers cut off and then died, and some people cut off and then died again. At this time, the other party still didn't have it. The meaning of giving up. After chasing until the evening, the 2 sides chased for a day, everyone was exhausted, but the Azure Dragon Legion still didn't mean to give up in the slightest. Today, the entire Donghu Wangqi is left. What Donghu country loses is not only the 3000 elite, but the strongest minion. In the future, it will be difficult for the other party to rebuild Donghu Wangqi. Seeing that the sky was getting dark, the 2 sides had no strength to fight again. The Azure Dragon army stopped in the distance to rest. Donghu Wangqi also quickly dismounted, let the horses replenish their strength. Huakai and Yurantuya followed the Azure Dragon army to dismount and rehabilitate. Yurantuya also killed a lot of Donghu elites with crossing Cloud Leopard today. Nowadays, she rarely takes shots. Hua Zichen walked towards Huakai at this time. Uncle Wu, are you all right? Huakai asked, pointing at the Azure Dragon Legion soldier in the distance. Many people have killed a lot today, and Shantian realm can no longer shoot at will, but no one is willing to give up now, can't completely wipe out Donghu Wangqi, everyone is unwilling to withdraw. Hua Zichen said. Huakai nodded. The killings of Donghu in Yan and Qi are countless. Whenever there is a chance, they are unwilling to let a soldier of Donghu leave. This place has penetrated into the territory of Donghu and hunted down Donghu Wangqi in the territory of Donghu. The sense of accomplishment makes everyone feel very comfortable. In the evening, the Azure Dragon army did not harass King Donghu. They have the strength to completely eat the opponent. The sneak attack can only increase the casualties of the owner. King Donghu did not bring any food and grass, and the Azure Dragon Legion has Hua Zichen and Huakai. There is no need to worry about supplies at all, as they consume it. On the next morning, Huakai and Warentuya came out of the tent and saw that in the distance Donghu Wangqi had begun to move north, and the Azure Dragon army was not worried at all, and slowly gathered to start today's pursuit. At this time, a team of people rushed from the south, and Huakai looked to be a member of the Azure Dragon reserve team. The battle at Leopard Yuguan went through 1 day and 1 night, and it must be about to end. Huakai also wanted to know the situation at home. Patriarch, yesterday we killed 80,000 Donghu army and captured more than 70,000 slaves and soldiers of the other side. In addition, there are 30,000 people who are fleeing from the other side. Leopard Yuguan is now hunting down the escaped soldiers. It is estimated that it will take a few days to clean up all the deserters, said the member of the Azure Dragon Reserve Group who sent the letter. 61%. Chapter 345. Basically all the elites of Donghu have been wiped out, leaving the more than 1,000 Donghu Wangqi in front of them. The other Donghu soldiers and slaves who fled without horses and no supplies, where can they escape? I will leave these Donghu kings to me. You and Shushengyu will go back first. Now that King Donghu is dead, almost all the elites of Donghu country have been killed in Baoyuguan. No one can stop the Azure Dragon Legion. Footsteps. Hua Zichen said, looking at Huakai. Huakai also wanted to watch Donghu Wangqi being wiped out by himself a little bit, but it really didn't make much difference if he stayed here. Even if the Azure Dragon Corps encounters the Foundation building again, it won't be afraid. It poses a threat. Okay, then you are careful. I am worried that the three families of Zhu, Feng, and Gongsun may help Donghu when they see the fall of King Donghu. When the time comes, you will make peace with them. The Hua family only needs to be in the mountains north of Jialiu County. Who, if you dare to step in, you are the enemy of the Hua family. I believe they dare not offend us. Hua Kai exhorted Hua Zichen. I know, Donghu will move north after this battle. No one can take away the territory that our Hua family has built. Zhu, Wang and other aristocratic families. Maybe they are still thinking about the country of Yan. Wait for us to take all of the southwestern part of Donghu. It is difficult for them to react to occupation, Hua Zichen said. The most fertile grassland in Donghu is in the southwest and east. The Hua family has taken the southwest area and the tribes of Donghu have migrated to the northeast. They suffered a big loss in the hands of the Hua family. It is estimated that they will not have the guts to go south in 100 years. There are many countries in the northeast of Donghu. The strengths of Jurchen, Wowan, Shanbei, Fuyu, etc. cannot be underestimated. Without the foundation building, one can imagine the future split of Donghu. It took Huakai, Warentuya and Yujun only 3 hours to return to Baoyuguan. There were Donghu corpses everywhere outside Baoyuguan. Some of the corpses already looked scorched. It was the bombing center that was killed. The unlucky ghost. Hua Kai asked Yujun to burn all the corpses quickly. He entered Baoyuguan and saw that there were heads everywhere in Baoyuguan. The Wahia center is now being pursued by Donghu deserters, ignoring soldiers, militias, and slaves in Baoyuguan. In the management of the soldiers, some of them picked up the prisoners and took them to the military camp or school. Many of the prisoners may have died because of the serious illness. The Little Leopard Jade Pass was crowded with more than 100,000 people, and some people saw that there were too many people in the Leopard Jade Pass. They were already waiting in the Guanan grassland. After Huakai came back, he asked the Vermilion Bird Corps to escort all the prisoners to Guanan. Set up temporary prisoner of war camps for them, and let the Vermilion Bird Regiment temporarily manage the slaves. There are only more than 1,000 Vermilion Bird Corps soldiers in Leopard Jade Pass, more than 1,000 Black Tortoise Corps soldiers, and less than 2,000 White Tiger Corps plus reserve regiments soldiers. The rest is more than 10,000 militiamen. These 4,000 soldiers and 10,000 militiamen have to manage over 30,000 slave soldiers and over 70,000 prisoners of war. They also have to maintain the security of Baoyuguan. Thanks to Huakai and Yujun's return in time, otherwise the entire Baoyuguan is not there. A man in charge, if it's really messed up, it will be a big deal. Huakai asked Wafu Butler to bring 3,000 Wahia family members through family space, otherwise these prisoners of war would become a big trouble. Time passed quickly. Warentuya checked the buildings inside the Baoyu Pass every day. She was very curious about these buildings built with wood and stone. Huakai was very busy every day. She rode alone. Cloud leopard wandering on the street. It has become the most beautiful scenery in Leopard Yuguan. For 3 consecutive days, the Azure Dragon Reserve Corps and other Jialiucheng cavalry came back one after another. They returned with a large number of prisoners. By the afternoon of the 3rd day, Wamo returned with hundreds of Azure Dragon Reserve youths, Donghu who had escaped from Leopard Yuguan. Almost all the soldiers were captured. With the existence of the Azure Dragon Reserve Group, the entire Leopard Jade Pass has become more and more orderly inside and outside. The Vermilion Bird Regiment and the militia are sending their captives to Jialiu City little by little, while all the slave soldiers and prisoners of war above the pneumatic stage are being taken by Huakai, left behind. Nowadays, the population problem in Tokaryu County has become more and more serious. In addition to the nearly 100,000 slaves captured this time, the number of slaves in Takayanu County has exceeded 200,000, and the population of Jaoyan County plus Baishan is less than 500,000. It also includes more than 200,000 Baishan Shinmen. If you don't digest these more than 400,000 slaves, the Hua family will be completely restrained due to indigestion. So after discussing with everyone in the family, Huakai has the following plan. The first is to assign merits to all the slave soldiers who participated in the war. As long as the outstanding performers are loyal to more than 50 points and all are given free bodies, they will be able to become civilians in Jaoyan County in the future. Second, all slaves who have worked in Jialiucheng and Baoyuguan for more than 1 year and have reached 60 points of loyalty will be given 1 year of free people inspection time. As long as he does not violate all the regulations of the Chinese family in the next year, he will be able to do so. Become a civilian in Gao Liucheng. And during the inspection period, you can temporarily enjoy the rights of civilians. Third, prisoners of war above the Kaiyuan realm will be assigned to the 4 major legions to establish a separate battalion. If they perform meritorious service in the future, they can quickly become legion fighters. Huakai counted all the prisoners this time, including 3 in Shantian state, 291 in Qi training state, 6,197 in pneumatic state, and 34,285 in Kaiyuan state. All Shantian realms and Qi training realms will be taken by Huakai to Huacheng, where Huakai will send them to the heavenly horse field, and then slowly cultivate their loyalty. He will be sent to the Jiaryu County Ideological Education College to study in pneumatic realm and a part of Kaiyuan realm used with good qualifications, and then according to the loyalty and qualifications of the other party, he will choose whether to send to the Legion or Weiseng. Most Kaiyuan realms are really looking for death squads for the 4 major legions. This time facing the Donghu army of more than 300,000, if the Hua family established a Kaiyuan realm death squad early, the 4 major army groups would not have suffered such heavy casualties. Huakai intends to give 4,000 Kaiyuan realm prisoners of war to each of the 4 legions first, and all of them will be managed by the reserve regiment first. The remaining 18,000 Jialiucheng, Baoyuguan, Huacheng, and Beishan are divided equally, so that all impacts can be minimized. It took half a month for Huakai to divide all the prisoners of war. The Vermilion Bird Corps, Black Tortoise Corps, and Militia Corps have all returned to Jialiu City, and 20,000 of the 30,000 slave soldiers have become new civilians in Leopard Yuguan. The 100,000 new prisoners of war also went where they were supposed to go, and finally the Baoyuguan didn't look so crowded anymore. Huakai has been busy for the past half month, and even Warentia didn't have time to accompany him. After investigating more than 30,000 slaves in Baoyuguan, he let people quietly kill all the slaves below the loyalty -20. Loyalty has not been cultivated for so long, and keeping it is a threat. Jialiu County is now most afraid of sudden riots, so Huakai can only deal with these people cruelly now. After selecting the slave soldiers at the Leopard Yuguan Pass, Huakai returned to Jialiu City to select the 50,000 slaves here. About 20,000 slaves became preparatory civilians, and more than 100 people were dealt with because of their low loyalty. The population ratio of Jialiucheng finally looks a lot better. Huakai knew that in the next few years it was time for the Hua family to digest the results and completely solve the problem of the East Hu country. No one would dare to challenge the Hua family in this land. Yan, Qi, Zhao and other countries are now thinking about it. Central Plains, they are not willing to have an accident in their backyard at this time. At the beginning of August, Huakai was checking the post-war data of the battle with Donghu in Baoyuguan. Because the losses of the Wahia battle were very large, it took more than half a month for the post-war statistics. The Hua family killed 5,702 regular soldiers above the Kaiyuan level, including 614 from the Azure Dragon Corps, 2,108 from the White Tiger Corps, 1845 from the Vermilion Bird Corps, and 1,134 from the Black Tortoise Corps. Except for the Azure Dragon Corps, the other 3 legions suffered heavy losses, especially the main loss of the White Tiger Corps by more than 60%. The wounded regular soldier Huakai treated with all his strength. Each one of them would return to the legion as long as they were not missing arms or legs. In addition, more than 10,000 militiamen were killed, and more than 30,000 slaves were lost. In addition, there were a lot of injuries. The total loss of the Hua family was close to 50,000. The loss of personnel is the greatest. The Wahia arrows, rolling logs, and stones seem to consume a lot of money, but with Lingbei, these materials are no more than 100 gold at most, and they are not as valuable as the loss of more than 100 war horses. Compared with the loss, the Hua family's seizure can be said to be unexpected. Among the more than 100,000 prisoners of war, 60,000 belonged to Donghu slave soldiers. They were originally civilians looted from Jialiu City or Yan Kingdom. Although their spirits are no longer normal, they will surely become the future development of the Chinese family as long as they recuperate in Jialiu County for a few years. The main force. Except for slaves, it was cattle and sheep, horses, weapons, equipment, and siege equipment. More than 50,000 cattle and sheep were food for the East Hu army, but in the end it was seized by the Chinese family. There were more than 56,000 war horses, which was more than twice the total number of war horses in Jialiu City, which made Jialiu County suddenly lack of horses and became a territory of surplus horses. The final weapons and equipment and siege equipment are also a very large number of seizures. Holding some good weapons and armor can supplement the 3 legions not required by the Azure Dragon Legion, and can also supplement the militia and slave teams, which are worth more than 10,000 gold. After reading the post-war report, Wakai heard the maid outside the hospital walk in. It was a special class family member from the Wa family in Jaliucheng. The other party told Huakailu that King Huakailu had arrived in Jaliu City, and the other party had brought a lot of elixir and strange stones, including Huakai's long-awaited Moyueshentang. Huakai and Warentuya returned to Jaliu City, and they spread throughout Jaliu City as soon as they entered the inner city. Everyone knows that Wakai came back with a fairy riding a leopard. This girl is likely to be the mistress of the entire Jaliu County. Before entering the Washington house, Wakai saw his mother Huang Shuyun bringing a group of family members and maids out. She saw Warentuya, who was riding Clear Cloud Leopard beside Huakai, and was a little scared. Warentuya saw this from wearing Clouded Leopard go up and down, let it stay aside. Wakai imagined how happy his mother would be when she saw her taking her daughter-in-law home, but the reality is not so. Huang Shuyun looked at Warentuya, not daring to move forward, as if she was afraid that her approach would affect the other party. It's more beautiful than the fairies in the painting. Please come in. Please forgive me if the house is not good. My son doesn't like to live in the palace, so the Wa family only built a mansion in Jaliu City. Huang Shuyun seems to be afraid that the Wa family has not built a palace. Disliked. Explain yourself first. 61%. Chapter 346 Weixin Pill. Warentuya smiled when she saw Huang Shuyun's appearance, which made the waitresses of the Wa family next to her be moved. I'm not particular about it. We don't have such a tall house on the grassland. We only live in tents. It looks much better than Leopard Yuguan. There are hills and small rivers there. Warentuya looked at Huang Shuyun and said, Jaliucheng Wafu is the facade of Wacheng. The construction is made of the best materials and design. How can it be comparable to the generals of Baoyuguan? Although Huakai cut the family and made twice, it is giving Wacheng a share. After going to 5,000 families and 1,000 maids, there are still 3,000 families and more than 2,000 maids in Jaliucheng Wafu. Hee. Girl, what kind of scenery do you like? Just say it, I will let the servants change it. When will you get married? Where do you want to live when you get married? What special preferences do you have? Can say earlier. Huang Shuyun sees Warentuya very much. Because of the simplicity, I felt a lot more cordial in my heart. I couldn't help but ask when he remembered that Wakai was 20 years old and had not yet received a room. I don't want the house too high, it's better to have a small bridge at the door. It's better to see the water outside the window, there are ducks in the water. Listening to Huang Shuyun's question, Warentuya told her the most beautiful home in her heart without any concealment. In her opinion, this is Wakai's mother asking herself. If she can't answer seriously, it's disrespect to the other party. He didn't keep a word, and said all the demands in his heart, completely without the euphemism and embarrassment of the princesses of the Central Plains royal family. Wakai saw that his mother took Warentuya to the main courtyard and didn't want to pay any attention to him at all. He didn't want to disturb his mother when he saw it, so he let them stay for a while. When they came to Wushu's house, the 2 cousins were almost 1 year old. They were able to walk slowly by supporting each other. Seeing Wakai's arrival, they seemed to remember him, and the 2 happily jumped in the distance. Wakai and King Lu came to Wazichen's study. When all the maids went down, King Lu took out 3 jade boxes from the space of his will and placed them in front of Wakai. Patriarch Wa, this is Moyueshentang, probably enough for 4 people to take it, it should be enough for a top-level sword. This is Earth Flame Gallbladder, only born in Earth Inflammation, although it is only an 8-level elixir, it is no less cherished than a 9-level elixir. Born Ancient Flower, a 9-tier elixir. Sheng Sheng Zai Zhao Pill's main medicine is known as one of the 8 wonder medicines in the world. Quote. King Lu introduced 3 elixir to Wakai. These 3 elixir are really rare in the world. Without the Lu family, the Wa family would spend 10 times the price. These 3 elixir are very good, just change as you said. Are there any other elixir or strange stones? Wakai asked. My will is limited, so I can only send these 3 most precious first, and there are more than 200 6th rank or above elixir, more than 1,000 strange stones, the price is on these lists, if there is anything wrong with you at any time you can bring it up, and other things will come with the Lu family caravan in 2 days. King Lu said. King Lu came to Jaliu City this time mainly to escort these 3 elixirs. These 3 elixirs are invaluable, so you can't be too careful. Huakai also saw that King Lu is now focusing on being an intermediary. The Lu family may not earn much from the Hua family by trading these things, but they definitely make a lot of money from the seller. Perhaps these elixir, many of the Baodin and divine armament exchanged by Kistler ended up in Lu's pocket. The Hua family is an opportunity for the Lu family to rise again. After receiving the 3 elixir, Huakai went back to the main courtyard of Washington to listen to the maid saying that his mother and Warentuya were out of the house. Huakai returned to the own room and entered the family space, and began to forge the weapon and medicine pill for King Lu. In the past 2 months, in addition to refining some ordinary medicine pills for the leopard jade guardsmen, Huakai forged golden silk soft armor. With golden silk soft armor, ascension will be very powerful, especially in the most difficult the city walls or in defensive battle. He has always controlled his family luck value at around 100,000, and this time he defeated Donghu. The family luck value ascension is very fast. He can forge more than 50 pieces of golden silk soft armor every day. This makes the golden silk soft armor used by the White Tiger Corps almost enough. In accordance with the requirements of the list given by King Lu, Huakai forged 2 9-rank treasure weapons, an ordinary treasure weapon and more than a dozen ordinary soldiers. After spending more than 20,000 points, the family luck value has already been seen. The Huakai will no longer use it when it drops below 90,000 points. The most important thing for the Hua family now is stability, slowly digesting the new people and slaves in the territory, and converting family resources into family combat power and cultural value. Naturally, it will continue to grow. After the 10 family cultural value ascension method was issued, the ascension speed of the Chinese culture value began to increase. It is very rare to increase the family culture value of more than 10 points a day. Now the Chinese culture value has exceeded 4,000 points. According to this ascension speed, before the arrival of this winter, the main task 8 will be completed, and the Hua family will become the 4th rank family. In the evening, I had dinner with my mother and Warentuya. These meals were specially made by the restaurant by my mother. Some of the spiritual dishes were made by the newly hired chef of the restaurant. She was very happy to see Warentuya eating deliciously. Just pick her up with vegetables on the side. Mother, eat it yourself. Huakai said to his mother. You too can eat. Mother can't eat these wild animal meat and spiritual food. You will be happy if you eat your mother. I have asked you to clean the house again. The bedding has been replaced with new ones. You two have finished eating. Hurry back to the room and rest. Huang Shuyun said as she kept picking up dishes for Warentuya. Warentuya's face was flushed, and she didn't know whether the shyness was the reason for the spiritual diet. Huang Shuyun told her something that no one in the Ujumchin tribe dared to say to her. She suddenly felt a little unnatural when she looked at Huakai. In the evening, Huakai suddenly felt that Warentuya was a little different from before. She became bold in front of her a lot of time. Naturally, Huakai was not Lu Shahui. At his age with Warentuya, many people were married. For the first time this night, Huakai did not enter the family secret realm space. The next day, Huakai was refreshed. His physique in the foundation building was not a joke. After covering Warentuya with a quilt, Huakai left the room and the maid brought her toiletries. After breakfast, I came to the Wushu mansion and handed over the weapon forged yesterday and medicine pill to each other. King Lu left Jialiu City after he got the weapon without stopping for a moment. After returning to the main courtyard of Washington, Warentuya has gotten up, went out of the house with his mother, and Huakai entered the family space. Seeing that the auxiliary medicine for refining Wei Shin Dan is enough, and this Mo Yu Wei Shin Tang can be used to refine 4 furnaces of Wise Heart Pill, he first refined 1 furnace, and used 8,650 family luck points to become 5 pills. Huakai looked at the 3-layer pill pattern surrounding the Mo Yu Wei Shin Pill and checked the attributes of the Wei Shin Pill. Wei Shin Pill. 8-rank pill. Effect. After taking the Ascension user's qualification, the lower the will, the greater the Ascension. The B or higher qualification will increase the user's qualification slightly after taking it. The A or higher qualification will have a small chance to increase the qualification by a small rank after taking it. The A+ and above qualifications will be invalid. This Wei Shin pill is not as godlike as others have spread, and it is not possible to use it for those with qualifications above A+ if it is refined into medicine pill, and its effect is greatly reduced. However, this Wei Shin Dan has a great effect on the Hua family. Few members of the Hua family have high qualifications. Nowadays, Jialiu County, which has a large management, does not have more participation from the Hua family members. This is not a problem for the Hua family. Good thing. More importantly, Hua Kai doesn't want to watch his own relatives grow old and die in front of him one by one. Even if there is a slight possibility, he will let his mother try. However, for Ascension to live at least, he needs to practice the Qi state or even the Shantian state. There is no way. The above qualifications are not acceptable. After waiting at home until noon, Yurantuya and her mother finally came back. Yurantuya looked more like an ordinary girl in the Hua family. She took on too many things when she was in the Ujumchen tribe. Everyone was in awe of her, and Hua Kai saw her smiling cheerfully. Happy. Oh, are you busy today, Yurantuya? Don't worry, mother is fine at home. The two of us are doing good shopping on the street. I ordered a lot of clothes for you too. Huang Shuyun is very happy to be with Warentuya. She seems to be afraid that Huakai will come back to snatch Warentuya. Mother, you enter the house, I have something to tell you. Hua Kai and his mother, Warentuya, entered the back room. It's difficult to get an inch from your cultivation base to the 7th floor of body tempering. One reason is that you don't like cultivation. More importantly, your qualifications are not high. I have medicine pill here, which can improve your qualifications. You will soon be able to enter the Kaiyuan realm, and it is not impossible to cultivation to enter the Qi training realm and Shantian realm in the future. Hua Kai said. Use such a precious medicine pill for my mother. Forget it. Let the rest of the family use it well, and if my mother is not on the battlefield, it would be a waste to eat for my mother. Huang Shuyun refused. Mother, how can you call it a waste? If we count Yurantuya in our family, there are only 3 of us. If you are not Ascension qualified or Ascension cultivation base, you may not be able to see it when we have children. At that time, your grandson will be born without grandparents. Hua Kai said. Huang Shuyun was a little moved when he heard that Hua Kai had no father at the age of 12. She nodded in agreement. Hua Kai took out a Weixin pill and watched his mother take it down. Huang Shuyun sat cross-legged on the ground and fell into meditation. After half an hour, she opened her eyes to Hua Kai to check her mother's attributes. Huang Shuyun. 7th floor of body tempering. Qualification. C+. Physique. 29. Strength. 27. Willpower. 30. Hard method. Wangyan Jing lower hard method of yellow stage Xiaocheng. Martial skill. Introduction to the 18 swords yellow level intermediate saber technique. All of her mother's mental techniques were learned when she was still in Zaihe village, Guangxian County. After marrying to the Hua family, she hadn't used cultivation technique. Her 18 Gale swords was only a middle-level Huang tier. Mother, how do you feel now? Hua Kai asked while looking at his mother. 61%. Chapter 347 Bing points to Donghu. Huang Shuyun slowly opened her eyes, feeling that the whole world seemed to become clearer. Her aptitude rose from E+ to C+, and she had 2 major positions at once. She felt that the spiritual qi around her was several times clearer than before. It seems that as long as you cultivation yourself, you will soon be able to break through the current realm. Mother, you take this medicine pill again. Hua Kai took out a qualification pill. The 10 qualification pills awarded in the main mission last time, he has been useless. The system provided qualification pills. There are no side effects, so it's okay to just take Weixin Dan and then take superior qualification Dan. After Huang Shuyun took the extreme qualification pill, he felt that the spiritual qi around him became lighter. Hua Kai checks mother's qualifications. Ascension has reached B+, so that the mother has no problem entering the qi training realm, and then taking the extreme qualification pill will no longer work. In the future, we can only wait for other spirit pills and exotic treasures to give her mother's Ascension qualifications. My son, mother knows your kindness. I will build the Ascension cultivation base well in the future, and then mother will show you the children too, watching you lead the Hua family to become stronger and become the emperor. Huang Shuyun looked at Hua Kai said with a smile. Mother, you will practice our family's meditation technique in the future. The meditation technique is a heavenly mental technique. You only practice the mind technique but not the martial skill. This mental technique is most suitable for you. When you enter the Qi training state, my son will have a way to give you the qualifications of Ascension again. When you enter Shantian, you will live 300 years old, and you will be able to see the moment when our Chinese family becomes king. Hua Kai smiled and said to his mother. It may be because she stayed in the Hua family for too long and listened so much. Her mother learned the family mentality very quickly. It only took him 2 hours to get started with meditation Ju. Hua Kai saw that her mother had entered the body tempering state. Layer, my heart is also extremely happy. In the afternoon, I went to the 7 departments of Jaliucheng for inspection. Now, the management staff of the 7 departments of Jaliucheng are over half, and more than 300,000 people in and outside Jaliucheng are developing rapidly in the management of the 7 departments. Seeing some people who were loyal to less than 20, Wakai wrote down all of them and handed them over to the heads of various departments. They were malicious towards the Wa family, and there must be no good intentions towards the entire Jaliu city. For several loyalists below -40, Wakai told his fourth uncle Wa Zawan to tell him the Black Tortoise Legion to send someone to take them away. Only the Black Tortoise Legion would know the fate of those people. In the afternoon, we went to the Washington, D.C. martial arts training ground. He gave some well-qualified and loyal family members medicine pill, weapon rewards, and more than a dozen new family members. Wakai took them to the main courtyard and sent them to the family secret realm space for trial. Wa family Jia Ding now has a high status in Jaliu County. Many Jaliucheng clan patriarchs have to salute when they see the Wa Jia clan. The common people in Jaliucheng regard being able to enter the Wa Jia clan as a major life pursuit. The evening was the day when the core members of the Wa family met. Grandpa Wa Xing told Huakai that the soothing grass that has been planted in Wacheng for more than 2 years has bloomed, and a batch of soothing flower can be harvested in the past few days. Hearing this news, everyone is overjoyed. Nowadays, many people in the 4 major legions are troubled by karma. Although chi deviation has not yet appeared, this karma does greatly affect the performance of the legion's combat power. All Shantian realms of the Azure Dragon Legion are now unable to play a big role due to karma. The remaining 200 people of Donghu Wangqi are now hiding in a large tribe. Our Shantian realm will lose more if we don't take action with the legion. Tomorrow, I will personally fetch the soothing flower from Wacheng, and solve Donghu Wangqi early. Hua Zichen said tiredly. Hua Kai saw the 5th uncle's right. Although the Azure Dragon Legion had chased and killed Donghu Wangqi for nearly a month, it was impossible for him to show exhaustion from his Shantian 5th story cultivation base. Uncle Wu, have you encountered something? Where is the Azure Dragon Legion now? Hua Kai asked. Oh, it's miserable. In the past 20 days, we have broken down 6 Donghu tribes in order to hunt down Donghu Wangqi. Those tribes escaped in order to protect Donghu Wangqi and desperately protected them. This has made us unable to win each other. After breaking through the Donghu tribe, we saw the slaves in the Donghu tribe. Most of those slaves were the people of Jaliu County before, and they were all locked up with livestock. The young and strong slaves can still get some food. Most of the women and children don't have a fig leaf on them. They are locked up with cattle and sheep. Every day, apart from helping the tribe to graze, they can only find food on the grass. We break through Donghu tribe, they have all lost the ability to communicate with others. The slave soldiers at Baoyuguan were miserable. The slaves in the Donghu tribe were no longer humans. It was the first time I saw Donghu people treat the Central Plains slaves in this way. Hua Zichen said that his eyes were a little red, and everyone heard this silently. The Central Plains has more exchanges with countries such as Linhu, Daoyushi, Shaoyushi, and Cheng people. Although those countries have wars with the Central Plains, their hatred towards the Central Plains is not very deep, while the East Hu State and Yan State, Zhao State, and Qi State. It is difficult to resolve national feuds for thousands of years, and most of the people who were looted and left were tortured to death in the end. Rescue more people and come back. Our Hua family can only do this. A few days ago, flame broke through Shenzhou, and tomorrow I will personally send Anshan flower to Donghu grassland. Hua Xing said. Let the Azure Dragon Reserve Corps and Vermilion Bird Corps go. Organize militias and convoys in Jaliu City to get those slaves back as much as possible. Grandpa, when you go, use Lingbei to bring more food. Slaves, you can hurry up with a full stomach. Hua Kai thought for a while and said. Many tribes of Donghu have already known that the Donghu army was defeated before Baoyuguan, and that King Donghu was dead in Baoyuguan. They have begun to slaughter slaves and prepare to migrate north. We can't let them evacuate easily. Shui Pan made a rare voice, showing that the slaves of the Donghu tribe made him angry too. Go and do it. The Azure Dragon Legion should have galloped on the grassland and destroy all the enemies in front of the horseshoe. The Azure Dragon Reserve Regiment and the Vermilion Bird Legion 5,000 troops will all be sent to you to help. In addition, Takaliu City will send 30,000 ordinary cavalry. Assist, and then there will be a horse team coming, if it doesn't win. Azure Dragon Corps don't come back. Hua Kai said. Hua Kai knew that the Azure Dragon Army's goal was the Donghu King Court, which was the core area of Donghu Kingdom, with a population of over 100,000 and captured more Central Plains slaves. If the Azure Dragon Legion destroys King Donghu, it will be able to destroy King Donghu Court. Then it will become the greatest cavalry regiment in the Central Plains, and the whole world will look at them. The Wahia Salming flower has matured, and karma is no longer a problem for the Azure Dragon Legion. After the Donghu Kingdom lost most of its elite and Donghu King cavalry, the destruction of the Donghu King court is now when the Azure Dragon Legion became famous. When Hua Zichen and Shui Pan heard what Hua Kai said, their expressions couldn't help but for a while. What Hua Kai said before was to save strength, but today he gave such a firm order to Azure Dragon Corps for the first time. Azure Dragon Legion, no victory. Hua Zichen said firmly. The Buri tribe is one of the major tribes of the Donghu country. In the past few days, hundreds of distinguished guests have come from the Buri tribe. It turns out that they are the trump cards of the Fenghu royal family and the strongest hammer of the Donghu kingdom, Donghu Wangqi. Don't go out in the Buri tribe. The Takaliu Jingqi cannot step through our tribe. The Buri tribe has a population of more than 50,000 and nearly 100,000 slaves. If they dare to come in, I will let them come back and forth. When this winter comes, we must withdraw, and you can leave safely next spring. Patriarch Buri looked at the Donghu Wangqi captain in front of him and said. More Buri patriarchs have come to the rescue. This time the Donghu army was defeated and the leopard Yuguan, apart from the other party using a powerful one-time magical item, their strength should not be underestimated. Wang has fallen under the leopard Jade Pass. Jialiu County is different from before. If we don't want to be killed all by the other party, we can only migrate to the royal city. The cavalry outside the Buri tribe is the most elite cavalry regiment of the Hua family in Jialiu County. It is no worse than the Donghu King cavalry under the same number. They have at least 15 in the Shantian realm. The Buri tribe should prepare for migration as soon as possible. The elite cavalry of Jialiu County must kill too many people if they don't attack directly. They are affected by karma. After a while, when their Shantian karma is almost eliminated, we are definitely not opponents. Quote. This Donghu King cavalry captain is the only Shantian realm surviving today. Every time he fights with the Azure Dragon Legion, he tries to avoid contact with the opponent, so that he can live to the present, so he knows the Azure Dragon Legion best. Patriarch Buri felt a little disliked when he heard this. He let Donghu Wangqi enter their tribe for refuge out of good intentions, but the other party wanted to move to the Donghu palace by himself. Isn't this letting himself go to the Fenghu family? Where is the conscience? If it weren't for the fact that these Donghu Wangqi captains were in the Shantian realm, these more than 200 Donghu Wangqi were all in the Qi training realm, and he would have turned his face with the other party. Haha, if you don't want to stay in the Buri tribe, you can leave at any time. With my good intentions, I will rescue you in spite of the tribe's dangers. You still have not forgotten to annex us. There are more than 4,000 elite Jialiu County people. They dare to come in. I arranged for them to kill 50,000 slaves. After killing them all, they dare not do anything. Patriarch Buri said confidently. Captain Donghu King Cavalry can only take a deep breath when he hears this. At least the Azure Dragon Legion is not willing to invade the Buri tribe. They are still safe for the time being. Only he knows that there are more than 10 horses in the Azure Dragon Legion. If you want to attack the Buri tribe, you only need the Shantian realm to solve the king's account, but the Donghu King Cavalry captain will not tell the Buri clan leader. At this time, in the Azure Dragon Legion outside the Buri tribe, Hua Zichen woke up early in the morning and entered the family space. He got a slayed bull from Shui Chen and divided the beef into 5 brigades. The captain and all Shantian realms gathered around the bonfire and roasted beef to eat. The Patriarch ordered that the Azure Dragon Corps step down on Donghu King Court and won't be able to return. Hua Zichen glanced at everyone around him and said, 62%. Chapter 348. When everyone heard Hua Zichen's words, they couldn't help being quiet. The Azure Dragon Legion was the sharp blade of the Hua family. Now it needs to show its blade so that the entire Donghu grassland can feel his sharpness. There is good news. Weisung Salming flower is already in bloom. My father will send 164 Salming flower in the evening. The Salming flower can reduce karma, so we don't have to be afraid of it. I'm afraid of my feet, Hua Zichen said. If this is the case, then it is not without a chance to break the Donghu King Court. All of us in the Shantian realm now need to use True Qi to suppress karma. If the karma problem is not solved, it will be difficult for our Azure Dragon Legion to exert 30% of its strength. I just don't know how effective this soothing flower is. Tang Lei said. 10 days ago, Tang Lei's Sky Fire Forging Body Pill had its medicinal effect, and it took 6 days to absorb all fire will. Now his physique has reached 63 points, and no one below the foundation building can have his great power. Go down 3 tricks. Hua Zichen also told everyone about the arrival of the Chinese support army. Every time they broke a tribe, they killed or driven away all tribal herders. After the tribe had replenished food and grass, they would select some good horses for backup. The cattle and the sheep were all handed over to the slaves, and the slaves went home by themselves. As for the last slaves, they can no longer control them. If the Chinese family can support them faster, they might be able to save a group of slaves. Knowing that the Hua family had support, everyone in the Azure Dragon Legion was no longer anxious. They watched the Buri tribe slaves drove cattle, sheep and horses out to graze. They had tried to contact these slaves, but these slaves were thoroughly trained by these tribes, and would rather die than leave with the Azure Dragon Legion. Hua Zichen and the others were used to this, and most of them ignored it when they saw it. In the afternoon, a red dot on the horizon was getting closer and closer to them. When a soldier noticed it, he informed Hua Zichen. After seeing it, Hua Zichen knew that his father had arrived. Hua Xing set out early in the morning, and rode flame for 1800 miles to find the Azure Dragon Legion. He came to the Azure Dragon Legion and saw Hua Zichen, Tang Lei, Shui Pan and others walking out. Letting the flames eat grass on the grassland alone, Hua Xing, Hua Zichen and others entered the Azure Dragon Core Center. He watched the Legion Shantian surrounding them and took out Ling Bei from his arms. Take out a salming flower from Ling Bei. This flower looks like a chrysanthemum, but it is dark yellow with a hint of blood red in it. This ancient flower needs to be soaked in water to drink. Soaking 5 petals at a time is enough. Ancient flower will allow all the water to be in the water. The second soak will have no effect. You can try it first. Hua Xing said. Hua Zichen took out his own water cup, took 5 petals from the ancient flower and put them in the cup. Tang Lei hurriedly let someone boil water, and a cup of ancient tea would be ready in a while. Wuya, please try to see if it works. Hua Peng said hurriedly when he saw it. Hua Zichen watched ancient flower encountering hot water. It slowly began to dissipate in the water, and soon became a thin slice, and the whole water glass showed a pale yellow with a little red in it. Hua Zichen took a sip slowly, feeling that the hot tea was extremely cool in his abdomen. He closed his eyes and felt it slowly, feeling the body extremely relaxed. Fifth Master, how is the effect? Has the karma weakened? A Shantian realm asked impatiently. Hua Zichen has the heaviest karma in the Azure Dragon Legion, and everyone is eager to know the effect of salming flower. Hua Zichen didn't care about the other party's inquiry, opened his eyes and took another sip. He waited for a long time before he started talking. I feel that my body's karma is weakening, probably by more than 20%, and this soothing flower has the effect of suppressing karma, and now I don't feel the influence of karma on me. Hua Zichen said. It's so amazing. Wu Yi, take a few more sips to see how much karma can be eliminated at most. A Shantian realm next to him said excitedly when he heard it. Hua Zichen slowly finished a cup of soothing tea. He sat quietly for more than 10 minutes before opening his eyes to conclude. Karma has probably eliminated 30% of the effect. The first 3 mouthfuls have the greatest effect. The later the effect becomes smaller. I think this requires long-term use of physical karma to quickly eliminate it. This soothing flower is probably enough for 10 people. You can let Shantian realm take it first, and then try all realms, and wait a few days before deciding how to distribute salming flower. Hua Zichen said. The others nodded when they heard it. They all took out their own cups and carefully put the petals of the soothing flower into their own cups. Then I poured hot water and saw the soothing flower dispersed, and I couldn't wait to start drinking. After 2 hours of trying, Hua Zichen and others have a basic understanding of the effect of Soothe the God flower. Intermediate use of Shantian realm can eliminate 30% to 40% of karma, which is related to each person's strength and karma. After taking the Shantian early stage, the karma is reduced by 40% to 50%, while the Qi training stage Dzogchen can eliminate more than 60% of the karma. In the early stage of Qi training, you will weaken your karma by 70% to 80%, and you will eliminate more than 90% of your karma in the air state. The first 3 oral administration has the best effect, which can achieve the effect of more than 20 mouthfuls of a large glass of water. Therefore, Hua Zichen has tried that only 1 petal of the soothing flower can solve more than 60% of the karma below the middle stage of the Qi training realm. It's enough for practicing Qi. After all, the lower the realm, the less the influence of karma. Give each person a soothing flower petal for each person from the Dzogchen to the middle stage of the aura, 2 petals for each person in the late stage of the aura, and for each person above the Dzogchen. With 5 petals, the entire Azure Dragon Core used up 61 soothing flowers and everyone's karma value dropped a lot. More than a dozen pneumatic realm Dzogchens broke through into the Chi training realm because they got rid of the oppression of karma. There are 103 soothing flowers left, but we can't use them at will. Each person in the Dzogchen realm will divide 5 petals, and each person in the Shantian realm will have 1 soothing flower. The Hua family harvested a total of 164 flowers this year. Soothing flowers, they were all sent to us, leaving only a little for expansion in the coming year. The other 3 legions, including Kair and Hua's direct line, did not leave a single flower. This time the obstacles in front of the Azure Dragon Legion have been eliminated. If we still can't get the more than 200 Donghu King Cavaliers, even if we destroy the Donghu King Court, it will be a regret that our Azure Dragon cannot erase in the future. Tomorrow the Azure Dragon Reserve Corps and Vermilion Bird Corps are coming. We will solve these Donghu Wangchi and Buri tribes and let them do something. Hua Zichen said. Everyone in the Azure Dragon Legion was very excited, and they were confident that they could easily take down the remaining 200 Donghu King Cavaliers in the Buri tribe. In the future, Azure Dragon Corps will be more proficient in the battle distribution. Generally, low-level soldiers will only be dealt with by the pneumatic state. The strong attack and resistance are mainly based on the Chi training state. The Shantian state specializes in solving the opponent's Shantian state and Chi training state, and other low-level soldiers. Soldiers of the First Order are not going to shoot at will. Captain Donghu Wangchi was very worried these past 2 days, because Azure Dragon Corps seemed to have completely forgotten what he was here for. Except for occasionally catching some sheep from the Buri tribe's flock every day, there was no action. This made the entire Buri the tribe herders no longer take Azure Dragon Legion seriously, but the leader of Donghu Wangchi has a bad premonition. On this morning, Donghu Wangchi had soldiers coming in to report that it was the Azure Dragon Legion that seemed to be attacking. The first reaction of Captain Donghu Wangchi was to quickly organize his team members to escape, because all the teammates who escaped so slowly in the past half-month were dead. Captain, Patriarch Buri is already organizing slaves and herdsmen to resist each other's offensive. If we escape from the Buri tribe, we will have to flee about 600 miles to reach the next large tribe, which is the royal court. A squadron leader told the captain. Said. Others couldn't help but entangle. If the Buri tribe couldn't protect themselves, the more than 200 of them on the grassland might be hunted down and wiped out by the Azure Dragon Legion in less than 3 days. Everyone took off the golden armor and lurked into the Buri tribe. No matter what happens, everyone can't make a move. As long as they make a move, they will definitely die. In the end, even one of us, more than 200 people, will return and shut the leopard jade. If the news reaches the court, we will be successful. Donghu Wangchi captain said in a low voice. The strength of the Hua family is beyond the imagination of the Donghu King's court. They must send the news back to the King's court and let the tribe migrate to the north as soon as possible. In fact, then the Donghu family must not be the opponent of the Hua family, and the entire Donghu country is likely to be split due to this. Several captains of Donghu Wangchi were talking, and they heard a noise from outside the Buri tribe. They knew that the Shantian realm of the Azure Dragon Legion must have taken action. The first reaction was to escape from the tent. Some people were on the way to escape. Thinking of the captain's words, they quickly took off their golden armor and quickly scattered around. Some went into the nearest herdsman's tent, some ran into the Buri soldier formation, and some fled directly into the slave group, inside. Hua Zichen took more than 10 Shantian troops from Azure Dragon Legion and flew into the Buri tribe. They just entered the Buri tribe and saw several Donghu King riders escape from a tent. Before they could catch up, the other party took off. The golden armor disappeared. They found some Donghu Wangchi who had no time to escape, but the other party did not fight with them. They all quickly took off their clothes and fled faster than rabbits. They caught and killed more than a dozen of them but only killed more than 40 Donghu Wangchi. It is too difficult to find the opponent. Fifth, let's control the Patriarch of the Buri tribe first. Let's break the entire Buri tribe, and the East Hu army can't escape. If it doesn't work, we will arrest everyone and recognize them one by one. Hua Xingyuan had to go back the next day after giving away the soothing flower. He stopped for 2 more days to participate in this battle, but today the Donghu Wangchi has completely changed his strategy. They decided to hide first. 62%. Chapter 349. Training the Buri tribe. When Tang Leti threw Patriarch Buri to Hua Zichen, Patriarch Buri looked at the people in front of him in fear. He was able to achieve a perfect cultivation base, and was surrendered by the brawny man. Now he is like a dead man. The dog was thrown on the ground. Seeing that King Donghu hadn't taken a shot until now, and thinking about the migration words the other party had said to himself, Patriarch Buri's whole body was trembling. Dear Jialiu County warriors, it's none of my business. Those Donghu kings riding in our tribe, I can't do anything. I beg you to spare my life. Patriarch Buri knelt on the ground and pleaded, because he knew if you don't do this, you will undoubtedly die. It's none of your business. You let everyone in your tribe stop resisting first. Hua Zichen said lightly, standing not far from the chief of Buri. Patriarch Buri knows that as long as he gives the order to give up resistance, his own tribe will be captured by the opponent quickly, but if he doesn't do that, the opponent will kill himself without hesitation, because he has seen that the Azure Dragon Legion is not incapable of attacking your own tribe, but something you want or not. Even if you don't surrender, your tribe will stick to it for a while. I can let the tribe surrender, but please don't kill my family. Patriarch Buri said. You are not qualified to negotiate terms with me. I can let you continue to be the patriarch of this tribe. As long as you are obedient, you will be able to graze life on this grassland in the future. Hua Zichen wanted to kill the other party directly, but suddenly his mind turned over. Are you asking me to be your puppet? Patriarch Buri was also clever. No, I am giving you a way of life that only we can cooperate. What do you think? Hua Zichen said with a smile. Okay, I listen to you, but please give us a chance to survive. I will never let the tribe resist. Patriarch Buri said. All the Buri tribes surrendered, and the Azure Dragon Legion easily occupied their stables and cattle and sheep pens, and controlled all their soldiers and slaves. It's ridiculous to say that those tribe soldiers are no longer resisting. Some of the slaves have to fight with the Azure Dragon Legion soldiers. Hua Zichen didn't let the soldiers do anything, and asked the soldiers of the Bri tribe to kill them all. Occupying the Bri tribe, the Azure Dragon Legion did not make any changes to the tribe, nor was it anxious to investigate Donghu Wangqi and find them out. Half of the people in the Buri tribe control important areas of the tribe, and half are patrolling the periphery of the tribe to prevent people from sneaking away. In the tent, Hua Zichen watched the Buri patriarch call all the banner owners and main members of the tribe together. He came to these people in gorgeous clothes. Their wealth was basically obtained by plundering and enslaving the people of the Central Plains. I only give you one chance. Everyone you choose will be protected by us. The number cannot exceed 100. Except for these people, everyone in the tribe enjoys the treatment of prisoners of war. As aristocrats, you can avoid suffering. You are sure of the person you choose. Are all selected? Hua Zichen came to Patriarch Buri, looked into his eyes and said. Patriarch Buri's expression was shocked. He knew that if he didn't call all the core members of the tribe today, they might never see him again. Certainly in his heart, he sighed deeply. How many more people? After saying a few names, the soldiers of the Buri tribe invited the other party over. The Buri patriarch closed his eyes and stopped talking. He could only pray for Hua Zichen to keep his promise and spare them his life. Okay, all of you here are safe. Don't leave the king's tent easily. I am not responsible for an accident in the king's tent. If there is anything you need to mention directly to the soldiers at the door, I will naturally come when I need you. You guys, rest early. Hua Zichen left Wang Zhong after speaking. The next day Hua Mo came with 5,000 Jialiu cavalry. With their arrival, the entire Buri tribe did not dare to move. Hua Zichen divided all the slaves, herders and nobles of the Buri tribe into 3 parts, and the nobles were completely indifferent. They eat and drink and are full every day, but no one is serving them. Ordinary herdsmen are all under high-pressure management. If there is anyone who dares to make trouble, they will be dealt with directly on the spot, and they will not be given a chance to quibble. But the life of the slaves of the Bri tribe suddenly got better. Hua Zichen asked the slaves to graze, pick up cow dung, dry the cow dung, cook, and make miscellaneous things. These seem to be no different from before. However, Azure Dragon's management of them is different from the Bri tribe. As long as they work hard, they can get the best food, even better than the Bri tribe noble life. Moreover, the Azure Dragon Legion gave them a relatively free life environment. As long as they were not rebelling or fleeing, the Azure Dragon Legion would not care what they did. In just 3 days, the role played by the slaves of the Buri tribe in the entire tribe is getting bigger and bigger. Hua Zichen had already tried to let some slaves participate in the management, and that day the 30,000 militia knights of Jaliucheng finally came. These militias may not help Azure Dragon Corps too busy in combat, but it is more suitable to manage the Buri tribe. Hua Zichen quickly withdrew the combat legion from management, and they began to disperse all tribal herdsmen. Nearly 10,000 elite cavalrymen divided the Buri tribe into hundreds of regions, so everyone found that the herdsmen and slaves here were better managed. Fifth Lord, when will we go to Donghu King Court? We have promised the Patriarch that we will never go home without taking Donghu King Court. Tang Lei came to Hua Zichen's main account and asked. He drank soothing tea twice in the past few days. Although the effect was not as good the first time, the karma in his body was less than half of the previous one, and now it does not affect him. Fought. No hurry, the Buri tribe is only 600 miles away from the East Hu King Court. Let's ride a horse for half a day. As long as Donghu King Qi does not escape, there will be no defense at the East Hu King Court. Our first task now is to clean up. Donghu Wang rides the remnants. Hua Zichen said slowly while sitting in the tent. Clean up the remnants, clean up the remnants. Then let's hurry up. This is almost 10 days, we are here all day training slaves, how can we clean up the Donghu Wangqi remnants in this way? Tang Lei said anxiously. Hua Zichen saw this and slowly got up. The horse racing team should be there in 3 days. The good show should be able to start, come with me. The two came to the camp area of the nobles of the Buri tribe. They entered the Buri Patriarch's tent. Now the Buri family can only live in the smallest dilapidated tent, and all the big and good tents have been requisitioned by the Chinese family. Patriarch Buri, how is the writing? Hua Zichen asked when he saw Patriarch Buri. Donghu Wangqi didn't have many contacts with me. I only knew his squad leader and a few small team leaders. I asked other members of the family, and I can remember the names and appearances of about 130 people in total. Patriarch Buri said. Well, very good. When I need you, you will bring someone to confirm. Hua Zichen finished speaking and left. Fifth Lord, don't you have to rely on the nobles of the Buri tribe to recognize them one by one and select all the hidden Donghu Wangqi? That way, if you don't say one, you can catch half of it. Tang Lei reminded. I never thought of relying on the nobles of the Buri tribe to find these hidden people. Just look at it. Hua Zichen came to the slave areas as he said. Hua Zichen divided all the slaves of the Buri tribe into one district per 1,000 people, just like the herders, and divided them into 3 teams to guard them in turn. He came to a camp and asked the team to administer dozens of recently promoted slave managers in the camp. You should know very well about the camp you are in. Who knows who has just arrived recently? That person answered well and got out of slavery directly. Hua Zichen said. These slaves were promoted because they performed well. Hua Zichen said that they all looked at each other but didn't know. Among them, there must be slaves loyal to Donghu. Many of them were born in slave camps since they were young. They attribute the suffering of their tribe to fate, but their loyalty to the tribe is very strong. Hua Zichen knew that they were worried that this group of slaves was afraid to tell themselves, and they were killed by the hidden Donghu Wangqi when they returned to the slave camp. For a while, no one dared to speak. Go, ask them separately, and they will be sent to my tent later. Hua Zichen said. Hua Zichen went to all the slave areas and herders areas, as in the first slave area, and asked all the slave managers to tell them that they thought they might be the people in disguise of Donghu Wangqi. An hour later, Shui Pan came to Hua Zichen's camp. It was said that someone was planning to escape from the tribe, and after killing them, it was discovered that it was King Donghu. Master Wu, are you planning to force them out? Tang Lei looked at Hua Zichen in admiration. Haha, psychological warfare. Can you find out all Donghu Wangqi? It depends on tomorrow. Shui Pan, you guard the outside of the tribe tonight, and you will shoot and kill when someone runs away. Hua Zichen said. More than 200 Donghu Wangqi were scattered in more than 100 areas of the tribe, and the largest area was only 4 or 5 Donghu Wangqi members. They saw that all the slaves had gone to sleep quietly at night, and they quietly leaned together to discuss. Those slaves must have some doubts about themselves. If they don't want to find a way, they are likely to be found out by the other party. Several people are afraid to contact their companions in other camps. Many people are struggling to escape or continue to hide their choices. Shui Pan also shot and killed more than 300 people who tried to escape from the Buri tribe. Among them, 51 people were above the Qi training level. This shows that many people in this camp are protecting Donghu Wangqi. The more than 200 people who died are in Buri. There are tribal slaves, herders, and nobles. In the early morning of the next day, Tang Lei checked the corpses of the people killed last night. He looked at the other person and probably knew that those people were Donghu Wangqi, and the gap between elite soldiers and ordinary masters was very large. Fifth Lord, you still have an idea. If we conduct a comprehensive investigation one by one, these Buri tribe members want to protect these hidden people. We really can't find them out. In many camps, the East Hu King's knights have become secretive organization managers. Their status in the hearts of Donghu people is special, and only these slaves who are loyal to us can find them out. Tang Lei had seen more than 300 people killed last night and came to Wazi Chen tent said to him. 62%. Chapter 350. Separate management of everyone. It is Hua Zichen who is worried that Donghu Wangqi will launch more people to resist. By the early morning of the next day, Hua Zichen's list of personnel given by the various camps was similar to the list given by King Buri. He asked Azure Dragon Corps to bring everyone on this list together. About 3,000 people were all killed, concentrated in a camp. Hua Zichen took more than a dozen people from the Shantian realm and singled out all the people above the Qi training realm. None of these people actually resisted. There are a total of 143 Qi training realms and one Shantian realm. When Hua Zichen walked to this Shantian realm, he recognized at a glance that the opponent was the only remaining captain in Donghu Wangqi. Aren't you going to fight back? Hua Zichen looked at each other and smiled. The captain of Donghu Wangqi group kept silent. He knew that if he resisted, the players hidden in the Buri tribe would take action. At that time, they might really not survive alone. Don't you speak. Come here. Tie up these people and put them in custody alone. Hua Kai pointed to all members above the Qi training realm and said. Suddenly some people started shouting that they belonged to the Buri tribe, who could prove it to themselves, but the Azure Dragon Legion completely ignored them, and whoever resisted killed them. In the afternoon, Hua Zichen asked all the people above the Qi level in the Buri tribe to gather together. This time there were 187 people. After the election, he asked his father Hua Sheng, Hua Peng, and Hua Mo to prepare with Azure Dragon. The regiment sent all these people back to Jialiu City, leaving everything to Hua Kai to do. Hua Zichen sent away all the Qi training realms of the Buri tribe directly, leaving only a few aristocrats from the Buri tribe. Although the chief of Buri didn't know where those people were sent, he was thankful that he had sent them away. Important members of the tribe were selected, and Hua Zichen did not embarrass the noble members of the tribe. On the grounds of catching Donghu Wangqi, Hua Zichen controlled all the Buri tribe's training aura in batches. This completely eliminated the obstacles of the Hua family's control of the Buri tribe, and waited for the Buri tribe's personnel to discover their main combat power. It was only when they had all been taken away that Hua Zichen's ultimate goal was known. These people who are left do not have the ability to challenge the spirit of training, they have no ability to resist, and now more and more slaves are already on our side, leaving 10,000 militias. We can bring the Buri tribe under complete control. The Haodian horse caravan is coming, and then we will transport these slaves back to Jialiu County in batches. Then it is time to consider attacking Donghu King Court. Hua Zichen called all the core members of Azure Dragon Legion together and began to discuss the way to attack Donghu King Court. I think it is enough to directly destroy the opponent's king's tent area. We still have 15 Shantian realms. The high-end combat power of the Donghu King's court is bound to be inferior to ours. Directly controlling their nobles is like the Buri tribe, and then slowly disintegrating their will to resist. The captain said. It's not that easy. There are bound to be many in the East Hu Wangding Shantian state and Qi training state, and with their population of more than 300,000, we will not be able to consume the other party even if we have the soothing flower. We still have to take advantage of the light cavalry and slowly eat away the other party. As long as they mess up, our opportunity will come. Shui Pan said. Everyone heard that the court of Donghu King was about to be attacked, and they were all happily discussing how to win the opponent. The Donghu family has dominated the grassland for thousands of years. The family culture is not comparable to that of ordinary tribes. It is impossible to control the opposing royal family and let the entire royal court surrender. We only need to slowly cannibalize each other, and they send slaves out to graze us and we will take all the cattle, sheep and slaves. All looted, waiting for them to fight with us on the grassland. We only need to eliminate all their main combat power, and the entire East Hu state will be over. Hua Zichen said. Everyone has heard that this is a way. The other party can't starve all cattle and sheep to death. As long as the Azure Dragon can win a few tough battles, they will surely win the final victory. There is a problem. If we can suppress the Donghu King court and prevent them from leaving the tribe at will, they will definitely migrate to the tribe in order to survive, so that the cattle and sheep can survive. The migration direction must be the northeast direction. This battle may be successful. It takes a long time to end. Hua Zichen thought about it and said again. In wars between grassland tribes, most of them are killing all the adult men of the tribe, and robbing all the livestock, materials, women, and children from the past to supplement their tribe's strength. However, the Azure Dragon Corps cannot slaughter ordinary herders at will, not only because of karma, but the main reason is to affect the reputation and influence of the Corps and even the Chinese family in the future. In the early morning of the next day, everyone in the Azure Dragon Legion was ready to drive to the northwest. When there was still about 100 miles away from the Donghu Palace, the front investigators sent back news that Donghu Palace had moved away. They aim now is to destroy the king of the court, but the arrival of each other, and so they have run. What is this thing? East Hu Wangting have migrated. He considered the task completed or not completed. North revisited, they should go far. East Hu defeated country less than a month time. Wangting many slaves. They want to hurry the inevitable fast. Speed it up, we quickly chase. Wazi Chen said. Huakai make Azure Dragon Legion destroyed the East Hu Wangting, instead of letting the other side to escape. He did not think the East Hu Wangting action is so rapid, more than 300,000 tribal groups so super relocated. East Hu Wangting to its original position. Azure Dragon Legion crowd just close to smell the stench smell, turned out to be a look into some of the bodies of slaves. These slaves East Barbarian look at these poor health walk the road, you simply direct kill. It's not as good as the beast. In order to kill some escaped slaves had no power to resist the slightest of. Did they kill ordinary people have no trace of compassion. Shui Hua Zichen looked away and climbed all over the floor dead bodies. Many bodies have not complete, evidently grazed by wild beasts too. East is brutal barbarian worship. To eat meat, they would rather throw up, do not give the enemy to leave. If they slaves fled to the central plains, the future will become his enemy. Wazi Chen looked the sight Chen Sheng said. Just then, far from the investigation team to come back, evidently much injured. Of Army Chief, 200 miles northwest of the Discovery Donghu migratory troops, we found each other, the other sent Shantian territory to kill us on Berry, we just lost a brother fled too. This is the name investigations captain said. They were so many people, actually has escaped 200 years, it seems that the fall of the East King who first time they had known. Wolf on the prairie for the crisis of smell is very sensitive. To escape, not so easy. Go, who will be the East elite family, how I'd like to see them in the Azure Dragon Legion attacks, with so many sheep and cattle supplies escape. Hua Zichen said. Azure Dragon Legion original position just a little to see the king of the court, to determine there has been no one alive, on horse following his king of the court migratory army to escape. When Wazai Chen Wang Ting migratory see the follow-up brigade of the army, when a team of 30,000 cavalry towards them, which is to protect their large forces continued to retreat. Azure Dragon Legion everyone unabated speed, rush away to the other side. Two teams collided together. Azure Dragon Army general line like a razor among other military array, the other 30,000 cavalry quickly into two. Wang Ting 30,000 cavalry in only 3 Shantian territory, a charge the two men had been beheaded Wazi Chen and Tang Lei, etc. after the second assault, which Wang Ting has killed more than 5,000 cavalry, almost invisible on the battlefield their Azure Dragon Army cavalry sacked figure fell to the ground. This is just the East Hu cavalry general, not the elite. Wait until after the Azure Dragon Legion 4th rush ahead, the other has been very difficult to maintain the military front, they have some people began to flee. Azure Dragon Legion has been the migration to kill each other in the army to encounter stop cattle and sheep population of this stop. Those Wang Ting cavalry to escape and ran into their own livestock population, killed horses, cattle and sheep Tassi, numerous slaves, they might encounter it as the first time such a powerful opponent. I thought to give Wang Dong who tribe leave some cards too. On this, Tang Lei own karma just disappear, going to a big kill, so I did not expect the other party actually not carry the fight. Look East Hu Wangting migration team, behind them a large force actually suffered such a loss no one to support, in front of the team is still going, we do not want to entirely entangled Shui looked at the front of the climbing team in time for the migration of East Hu Wangting cattle and sheep simply go on, completely regardless of the rear, which is in total disregard of the attack only escape. The other side also know that with so many sheep and cattle and goods, who fled east-northeast grassland requires a minimum of 2 months' time, has now entered late August, they cannot dare stop. However, this can escape it. Hua Zaichen looked at the subsequent migration of East Huangding own cavalry brigade after being broken up. Even animals do not care to escape and continue northbound, he was not asked. Azure Dragon is absolutely not the other cavalry corps opponents. Hua Zichen with Azure Dragon Legion of movement at the rear of the other brigade rush for a while, and the other four are simply fled. That millions of cattle and sheep became the East Huangding army soldiers and herdsmen's largest umbrella. Azure Dragon Legion only more than 4,000 people, cannot cause too great a threat to each other. East Huangding to be playing good thinking. This is the number they use for their migration time. Stood ordinary herdsmen and slaves to kill us. They hid among migratory army. It is impossible to find out the other side. Walk. They go before the team. Hua Zichen see each other's purpose, with Azure Dragon Legion to the other direction before the team chase. 300,000 people. Millions of cattle and sheep migration brigade stretches over 200 years in the grasslands. Hua Zichen with Azure Dragon Legion ran more than 2 hours before the team came to their position. Saw the enemy hit the other side, in total disregard of. Hua Zichen with Azure Dragon Legion rush ahead twice in their direction before the array. The other side to catch the sheep fled, but the other side is the old strategy, you kill you. So much migration of people and cattle and sheep, how many can you kill? I continued to catch my way. 62%. Chapter 351. Efforts to cannibalize. Hua Zichen smashed the former Donghu team twice. They tried not to go to places with many cattle and sheep, and only hunted down those royal nobles who were dressed in gorgeous clothes and were protected by soldiers, but this was of no use at all. As long as the opponent is not injured and able to move, after the Azure Dragon Legion retreats, try to find the own cattle and sheep and continue northward. The Azure Dragon Legion has nothing to do with them. Fifth Lord, what can I do? No matter how many people we kill like this, it's useless. We can't hurt each other's bones. We are too few. Otherwise, we will kill all their cattle and sheep and see where they hide. Tang Lei looked at Hua Zichen and said, stop it first. It's no good for us to kill like this. Salming Flower can't stand it anymore. I'll ask Care first tonight. Hua Zichen has no choice but to do so. At night, the Donghu King's migration army was the same as usual. What should they do? They even arranged for slaves to drive cattle and sheep to graze in the distant grasslands, as if they were despising the Azure Dragon Legion. The Azure Dragon Corps randomly grabbed some cattle and sheep around, and then lighted a fire for dinner. Everything on the grassland began to become quiet. The cattle and sheep that frightened and flee during the day also slowly returned to the Donghu King's migrating army. Hua Zichen enters the family secret realm space. Hua Kai has just returned from the 4 colleges in Jialiucheng. He has arranged for 2 on-site writing of Journey to the West in Jialiu College and Jialiu Institute of Ideological Education in the past few days. This is to speed up the cultural value of the Ascension family. On the other hand, allowing all students to see the methods above the foundation building level is conducive to the stability of the Chinese family in Jialiu County. Hearing the 5th uncle talking about the migration of the Donghu King's court, Hua Kai said, Donghu King has fallen, and Donghu King's court must feel that they can no longer maintain the rule of Donghu, and leaving is a wise choice. Giving up defense and letting you offense is their last resort, but this problem is easy to solve. Quote. How to solve it? Hua Zichen asked in surprise. They can do this, and we can use their methods to deal with them. We don't have control of the Bri tribe, and 30,000 cavalry are still there. Tomorrow, Jialiucheng's convoy will almost arrive, about 3,000 carriages and 10,000 ordinary people. It takes at most 2 days for us to take the slaves of the Buri tribe to catch up with the Donghu Wangding migration team. Then, let the militiamen ride horses to snatch the cattle and sheep from the other side, and all the slaves will be escorted to the Buri slave army. With slaves, Bri is under the care of the slaves, the militias are looking after the slaves, and the slaves are looking after the new slaves and cattle and sheep. I will send 100 teachers and students from the Institute of Ideological Education. Your Azure Dragon Legion is just behind the opponent and cannibalize each other bit by bit. If the opponent has a large army to resist, you will take action again. I believe Donghu King Court has no strength to compete with the Azure Dragon Legion. Hua Kai said. Hua Zichen imagined Hua Kai's way, so simple he didn't even think of it. The Hua family has 3,000 carriages. It is entirely possible to transfer some cattle, sheep and slaves back to the Buri tribe, and then use some carriages to send slaves, cattle and sheep back to the Baoyuguan. They don't believe that Donghu King's blood can't be drained. Then the Azure Dragon Corps had an idea and stopped blindly rushing. They returned to the last side of the Donghu King's migrating army, drove out some slaves and civilians along with cattle and sheep, and separated them from the Donghu King's migrating army, and then they didn't let the other party go back, and whoever resisted killed him directly, and the moving army of Donghu King Court in front completely ignored it. In 3 days, the Azure Dragon Corps separated nearly 100,000 cattle, sheep, horses, and more than 2,000 slaves and herders. They did not kill each other, but controlled them. Donghu Wangding saw the Azure Dragon Corps' actions and thought they were doing this to take advantage. They are happy to Azure Dragon Corps to do so. In the afternoon, more than 2,000 Vermilion Bird Regiment cavalry and 20,000 ordinary cavalry came slowly from the southern sky. They were followed by countless carriages. Everyone in Azure Dragon Corps couldn't help laughing when they saw this place. 20,000 cavalry quickly took control of all the cattle, sheep, slaves, and herders that were separated from the Azure Dragon Legion. The slaves and herders were all arrested. There were more than 10 slaves on each carriage in the rear, and those slaves began to control these cattle, sheep and horses. Stand up. Donghu Wangding was surprised to see the Azure Dragon Corps operating in this way. More than 1,000 carriages brought more than 10,000 slaves. These slaves have been educated by the Chinese family and they have a little spirituality. At least they know that the Chinese family can feed them. They are willing to listen to the words of the Hua family. At night, a strange scene appeared on the grassland. Donghu Wangding's migrating army was in the front, and the Chinese slave army was in the rear. The front lineup was as large as a giant, and the Chinese team was like a child compared to the opponent. On the second day, more than 1,000 carriages escorted the slaves and herders of Donghu King Court captured yesterday into the carriage, and then filled the other carriages with sheep. They left early in the morning under the escort of the 2,000 troops of the Vermilion Bird Legion. The Azure Dragon Corps began to work again. They caught up with the tail of the Donghu King's migrating army and cut off a part of the other side. Then 10,000 militiamen rode all these cattle, sheep, slaves, and herdsmen away from the Donghu King's army and brought them out. They were divided 10 miles away, and then the rebels were killed. The cattle and sheep were separated from the people, and they were escorted down for slaves to take care of. The Wahia slave team was like sucking blood on the Donghu Wangding migrating army, sucking the opponent smaller and smaller, and getting bigger and bigger, and it lasted for 3 days. In the afternoon of the third day, the Vermilion Bird Corps came again with 1,000 horses. They brought more than 10,000 Bri tribe slaves, so that the Chinese slave team would manage these cattle and sheep more easily. After the fourth heavenly horse convoy took away more than 3,000 Donghu Wangding slaves and herders and at the same time more than 5,000 sheep, the Donghu Wangding migration army finally realized that this would not work. The convoy will appear every 2 days, bringing more than 10,000 people at a time and pulling away thousands of them. The number of their livestock is declining by 50,000 each day. If this continues, their cattle, sheep and population will be looted in less than a month. On the 5th day, Hua Zichen saw that the Donghu King's migration team had begun to change. They gathered some people and selected horses to form a cavalry to fight the Hua family, but the Azure Dragon Corps didn't worry about this at all. Donghu King. The total population of the court was more than 100,000. After the Baoyuguan's vitality was injured, the last 30,000 cavalrymen were also defeated by them, and the opponent could not organize much combat power. The Azure Dragon Legion felt that it was easier to plunder the others' livestock and slaves than before. Hua Zichen looked at the cattle, sheep and horses that had been robbed of more than 300,000 from the rear, and waited for the horse convoy to send them to the Buri tribe tomorrow. Originally thought that the other party would wait until tomorrow to attack again. In the afternoon, when Hua Zichen went to plunder their cattle, sheep and slaves again, he inspected the horse and reported that 2 cavalry troops had run out from the central area of Donghu King Court, and killed them from both sides of the migrating army towards the Hua family slaves. Each cavalry team is about 30,000 horses. This Donghu King Court can still organize 60,000 horses. It's not because other tribes will support it. Tang Lei couldn't help being surprised when he heard the spies finished talking to Hua Kai. No, the tribes have already dimmed the elites to King Donghu. Before the elites return to the tribe, it would be difficult for them to send troops again. I think they must organize all the slaves, maybe they may let the women go to fight. A Shantian captain Jing said. The opponent is divided into 2 groups. They want to destroy our slave team. They dare not let us continue to plunder like this. No matter how the opponent's troops come from, we can't be too careless. The militias don't have much combat power. With the strength to fight a war, we can only rely on ourselves. Hua Zichen began to divide the troops as he said, the 1st, 3rd, and 5th squadrons all the way, the 2nd, 4th, and special squadrons all the way. He led the first team, let Tang Lei and Shui Pan lead the first team, giving up and moving the army. The entanglement of the rear team ran to both sides of the migrating army. When the Azure Dragon Corps saw the opposing cavalry regiment, it almost laughed out loud. I saw that most people in the opposing cavalry army did not wear leather armor, and some even lacked clothes. They were yellow-faced and thin-faced, riding on thin horses. Most of them only had a wooden stick in their hands. The opposing party really used slaves as cavalry. The Donghu King Court was still guarding against slaves at this time, and only dared to equip them with weak horses, but so what kind of combat power their cavalry had? Hua Zichen rushed into the opposing cavalry formation with more than 2,000 people from the Azure Dragon army. The charge did not end. The slaves in the rear had already begun to flee. When they rushed through the 30,000 cavalry formation, they saw that the opponent had completely lost the will to resist. They dispersed and drove them all back to the migrating army. This time Donghu Wangding's counterattack became a joke. At night, 100 teachers and students from Jialiucheng School of Ideological Education arrived. They were all Jialiucheng specializing in slave education. Some of them were originally slaves. Their purpose was to wake up the slaves and add their loyalty to the Chinese family. Hua Zichen treated these teachers and students warmly. The role of these 100 people is more effective than 10,000 militiamen, and they will no longer have to worry about the defect of slaves. With the failure of this by Donghu Wangding's counterattack, they have no plans to counterattack at all. Everyone tries to move forward as much as possible every day, and they will be slowly eaten by the Hua family when they go to the back. When the third batch of Buri tribe slaves arrived, this time they rushed to more than 2,000 carriages and nearly 30,000 slaves, which allowed the Chinese slave group to rapidly expand. Hua Zichen began to send 5,000 militiamen with 10,000 slaves, 60,000 heads of cattle and more than 20,000 horses, and they were still escorted by the Vermilion Bird Legionary Cavalry. When the Azure Dragon Reserve Group came back, they directly changed to Azure Dragon. The Reserve Regiment and the Vermilion Bird Regiment's cavalry team each brought 10,000 slaves to escort cattle and horses. The sheep walked too slowly and could only be pulled by carriages. Donghu Wangding saw all this in his eyes, but there was no way at all. They could only speed up. Migrating to the north, facing the Azure Dragon Legion, as long as they dare to divide their forces, they will be devastated. 62%. Chapter 352. While Hua Zichen was taking the Azure Dragon army to suck the blood of Donghu Wangding, while Hua Kai checked the development status of Jialiucheng in Jialiucheng, he felt that the biggest problem in Jialiucheng today is that there are too many slaves. There are too many slaves in the prairie. Ascension Jialiucheng slaves are loyal and urgent. If the Hua family cannot convert so many slaves into their own strength, then so many slaves will hinder the development of the Hua family. Several technology training colleges have been established in Jialiucheng. These academies are mainly to train slaves and teach them various special vocational skills in Jialiucheng. Learning these skills can not only become a craftsman, a chef, and a trader. The envious profession, but also Ascension their ideological education. Huakai spent a lot of money to build these colleges. Set up a decision with Jialiucheng to increase the development of animal husbandry in the future. The development can not only reduce the population pressure in Jialiucheng, disperse most of the slaves around Jialiucheng, but also digest the livestock recaptured from Donghu. Jialiu County has since become a pastoralist, where the industry is developed. After going to Huacheng for 5 days, Huakai screened all the horses obtained from the battle at Leopard Yuguan, leaving behind all the BMWs and steeds raised by the family tribe. All BMWs have been upgraded. This time, over 110 BMWs were seized and the last 13 of the BMWs could be upgraded. Huakai successfully upgraded 5 horses. Wahia now has an increasing number of horses, and the horse quality of the entire heavenly horse is rapidly ascension. After selecting the steeds and strong horses that are enough to upgrade, Wakai left it to the Wafu butler and grandpa to upgrade when they were okay, and then returned to Jialiu City. On August 24, the news that the Donghu army was completely defeated by the Hua family spread in Jialiu County with Yan and Qi. The merchant groups and caravans that went to Donghu and Zhongnu for business have returned to Beishan. Some small carriages with new style carriages the caravan has returned to Jialiu City. Hua Kai took Warentuya out of Washington early in the morning, and was surrounded by a group of families to Jialiu College, which is one of the highest colleges in Jialiu County. All teachers are students above realm. Huakai came to Jialiu College today to write the second chapter of Journey to the West. He has not written Journey to the West for more than 2 months. The video cards he collected in virtual space are enough to write several chapters. Kai still decided to put the creation of the second chapter, Journey to the West, in Jaliu College. Huakai has become a giant of novelists. Now everyone in Jaliucheng knows about his arrival. Many students and people waited in Jaliu Academy early. Huakai boarded the stage set up for him by the academy and wrote only one chapter of Journey to the West, was originally placed on the table, and he saw about tens of thousands of people waiting quietly. Hua Zan took out an inkstone and began to study ink for Huakai. Huakai did not rush to start writing a book. He looked at the old people in the front of the stage. They were all novelists who came from all over the Central Plains not far away. The purpose was to take a look at Huakai and see the novelist's first story. How a masterpiece was created. Huakai gently opened the original first page of Journey to the West. He injected mental energy into the book, and soon those familiar scenes appeared in the great book. Huakai read aloud the contents of the Journey to the West novel. All in the audience, everyone is utterly intoxicated. They were completely brought into the world of Huakai's novels, and their minds could not help but present the story of the first chapter of Journey to the West. The second chapter begins. Those old men sitting in the front row of the stage underground were extremely excited. What Huakai just said was that the major work was undoubtedly originally and can bring everyone into such a clear world. This Journey to the West must have been written by himself. Today, I created the second chapter of Journey to the West, enlighten Bodhi's true truth, break the devil and return to the original soul. It is said that the Monkey King is still enthusiastic after he has his name. Huakai condensed the images of the will condensed in the virtual space into the original Journey to the West, and saw those images written into the book with his pen, and a virtual image began to appear in the sky above Takaliu Academy. The projection of the world, the Monkey King had to show every move clearly before everyone's eyes, and everyone couldn't help but be intoxicated. Unknowingly, the second chapter has come to an end. Huakai finished writing the last paragraph, and the sky phantom disappeared. Everyone still didn't want to wake up. They were still immersed in the world of novels. Suddenly an old man in the audience knelt down to Huakai. His expression was serious, bowed his head and bowed to Huakai with both hands. The giant is on the top. The great novelist Ma Chengwang, 15-year-old novelist, 19-year-old graduated school, 26-year-old writing hundreds of books, 50-year-old fortunate to be a great novelist, today begged to follow the giant and become a disciple of the giant. The old man lowered his head. I also ask the giant to take in, and you are willing to follow the giant. Everyone and the students all knelt down, hoping to worship Huakai as a teacher. The students and apprentices of other novelists in the distance were envious when they saw this place. They didn't take the initiative to ask the giants to be disciples if they didn't have the ability above the students. Everyone quietly waited for Huakai's attitude. Everyone can accept disciples, but Huakai is now a giant but does not have a disciple. As the first giant of novelists, he has the responsibility to make his own contribution to improve the influence of novelists in this world, so today he decided to accept a few disciples. He checked the attributes of Ma Chengwang. He was the strongest among all the people sitting. The Shantian realm of Zochin had reached the edge of the foundation building, and the S+ qualification was worthy of Huakai's apprenticeship. Sweeping from everyone off the court, there are really many geniuses who can come to Jaliucheng to study within 1,000 miles. Cao Zhang, you are very talented, you can be my first apprentice. Huakai said. Everyone looked at the novelists and students in the front row, wondering who was lucky enough to be Huakai's first apprentice. At this time, a young man under 20 years old stood up in fear. He was surprised and excited when he saw that Huakai knew his own name. Ma Chengwang, your own karma is too heavy, but it is not difficult to enter the foundation building, it can be passed on by yourself. Huakai accepted 7 disciples in one breath, and the first one is Cao Zirui's SS qualification. Although he is only a student of novelist, he has 2 talent skills, Chao Tongsheng read and spoken words. These 2 skills are very impressive. No Chao Tongsheng will make his eloquence very good. Novelists not only need to write well in novels, but also to speak well is very important. Speaking from the heavens, that's amazing. There is a certain probability that the words spoken will trigger the will of heaven and earth to respond. Coupled with his SS level qualification, the probability of entering the gold core realm in the future is very high. The other 6 introductory disciples of Huakai are all with S qualifications and above, and will have the opportunity to enter the foundation building in the future. In addition, U.149 people can be me named disciples. There are not many requirements to enter my school. You can stay in Jaliu County or leave. You can listen to me every time I write a new chapter of Journey to the West. I have time. I can point you to novels and cultivation base. Huakai selected 149 more than A-level qualifications. Several of them were already in the Shantian realm. Although they were only accepted as registered disciples, they were also very happy. Teacher, may I ask you everywhere in your palace? We can follow and serve in the future. Ma Chengwang said. In this world, teachers and disciples have a very close relationship. Teachers hand over what they have learned throughout their lives to disciples. Disciples generally need to serve the teacher all the year round, and even all their income has to be handed over to the teacher. I run around all year round because of family affairs. You should stay at Jaliu College first. I will come to the college often when I have time. Hua Kai said. Follow the order of the teacher. Everyone stood up and said. Hua Kai got up and left. Warentuya and Crossing Cloud Leopard followed him. Wazan and Xiaoqiang followed closely. Everyone waited until Hua Kai walked away and then slowly dispersed. In the morning of the second day, Huakai held the third Journey to the West Creation Conference at Jaliu Institute of Ideological Education. This time there were twice as many people as yesterday. Many people came here early. Disciples also helped to maintain order on the scene. When the third chapter was finished, the phantom of Journey to the West disappeared. Hua Kai watched all his disciples sit quietly under the stage and spoke. You 156 people, wait at Jaliu College in the afternoon, everyone is not to be late. Huakai wanted to go to the grassland in September. He went to help the Ordos tribe and the Ujumchin tribe's ascension strength. If the two tribes can be more powerful than the ascension tribe, they will definitely be able to exert greater strength when the future war comes. The effect is that even if the Hua family meets Qin Guo in battle, Hua Kai will have more cards in his hand, and it may have a miraculous effect at a critical time. Everyone heard that Hua Kai was finally about to teach them, and everyone was excited. No one knew what would happen to the novelist giants teaching his disciples. When I arrived at Jaliu College in the afternoon, someone had prepared a classroom for Hua Kai. He followed the dean of the college to the door of the largest classroom here. He saw thousands of students waiting here outside the door. If you want to listen, you can sit outside and listen to the class. Hua Kai said. Thanks to the giant, everyone was very happy to hear this. In the past 2 days, they listened to Huakai's masterpiece and achieved very good results. Many people have realized a lot of things because of this, and several people have made breakthroughs because of this. Walking into the classroom, Hua Kai saw that all his disciples were already sitting on their knees. The disciples were sitting in the front row and other disciples sitting in the back. They were already waiting for the arrival of On. Today is the first time I give you a lecture. I have read the novels of many of you. Generally speaking, there are many problems. Now I will explain to you writing knowledge from the aspects of writing principles and techniques. I will give you many examples. I will use the scenes in Journey to the West as an example. A novel pays attention to 3 elements: character, plot, and environment. A good novel is shaped from these 3 aspects. Hua Kai talks about writing skills. Many people actually know this kind of thing, but after Hua Kai summarized it clearly, his mind suddenly realized. Hua Kai used Journey to the West as an example while telling the story. Everyone could not help but a scene from the novel Journey to the West. 62%. Chapter 353. After Huakai gave the disciples lecture, he asked the disciples to write a short story to himself within a week, and the named disciples could give it to the disciples for comment. The gap between the direct disciple and the registered disciple is huge. The direct disciple represents the inheritance of the teacher. The teacher can't be exaggerated to pay for them. Therefore, one day he will be the teacher and be the father for life. Named disciples are only qualified to be observers, and do not have the right to ask questions or be directed by themselves. In many cases, they ask direct disciples for advice. This class is of great significance to all the disciples. It is the first time they heard that writing can explain in such detail. As long as they learn the main points of the novels told by the teacher, then everyone present can actually learn to write novels. You must know that in the past, only students or above could write a novel. Teacher, I have discussed with a few juniors and disciples, hoping to build a novel academy. Nowadays, there are more and more novelists in Jaliu College. Many novelists and students and apprentices want to learn but have no way. Wait until the news that you become a giant reaches the Central Plains. Everywhere, I believe that many novelists will come from far away. Although Cao Zerui is the youngest of Hua Kai's personal disciples, and his strength is only at the great perfection of qi, Hua Kai appointed him as the first disciple, and everyone in the room was able to do so. He is Lord. Yes, all the expenses for the construction of the college should be applied from the Jialiucheng Finance Department. I can name the college as the dean, but you still have to do all the affairs. Hua Kai returned. Although the 10 ninth-rate novelists are not valued by aristocratic families, their number is much smaller than that of Confucianism. In the future, there will be more and more novelists in Jialiucheng. The establishment of a special academy can not only promote the school of novels, but also can better maintain the order of Jialiu City. Entering September, Hua Kai's family cultural value has reached 4,618 points, which is less than 400 points from the completion of the main task. At the current speed of Hua's cultural value ascension, the Hua family will be promoted to the 4th rank family in less than a month. NS. Yesterday Hua Kai inspected the more than 300 prisoners of war above the Qi training realm sent back from Donghu. Most of them were remnants of Donghu Wangqi. What he did not expect was that these Qi training realms included a Shantian realm. The hatred of the Hua family is not strong, their loyalty is actually on the right value, which makes Hua Kai very difficult to understand. Originally thinking of killing them directly, seeing that Hua Kai intends to give them a chance, everyone sent to Huacheng to help Shu Hua plant the land, and they couldn't get over any waves in the spirit-gathering array. Riding Luma, Hua Kai and Warentuya walked on the grassland. The family affairs have been handled. The Azure Dragon Corps is now completely suppressing Donghu Wangting, the Novel Academy is now under construction, and he can also go to the grassland. News from the Ujumukan tribe from the 2nd Zhuang state. The Deu Kingdom has invested 350,000 soldiers and 400,000 slave soldiers in the Xiaoyu Kingdom this year. Until now, it has not been able to completely occupy the Xiaoyu Kingdom. If the Deu Kingdom wants to take if the Sha Xiaoyu nation drained the blood, it would not make much sense to win in the end. Therefore, he intends to go to the grassland as soon as possible and check the construction situation of Beishan by the way. Now that the East Hu's threat has gone, the entire Beishan has become the territory of the Hua family. Beishan is only an important place of the Hua family with a smaller population than Jialiucheng. Hua Kai has not actually visited Beishan. The Luma it took only over an hour to arrive at Baoyuguan. Warentuya rode Clouded Leopard to keep up with Luma without any pressure. When they arrived at Baoyuguan, the two looked at Guanan. Thousands of acres of grassland are full of horse-drawn carriages planning to return to Jialiu City. These days are the days when the grassland merchants came back. The two did not stop when they entered Baoyuguan, and they drove towards Beishan. On the way, the Wushu motorcade was rushing towards Baoyuguan from Beishan. Because they heard the news that Donghu has been defeated by the Chinese family, all the business groups driving outside the customs is also more casual, many of their caravans, several carriages and 10 people dare to go business, which makes the outside of Baoyuguan seem very lively. Following the motorcade Hua Kai and Urantuya to Beishan, the road here has obviously been repaired, and the gravel road with a width of more than 10 meters will be easy to walk on. As soon as I entered Beishan Hua Kai, I saw a cottage on the mountainside in the distance, where the Wahia family lived, with a total of 1,000 people serving as the gateway to Beishan. After passing this barracks, it is very lively. There are rows of houses on both sides of the road, many shops are in business, and the caravans are stopped here. These are also controlled by the Hua family. Following a road to the south, Hua Kai rode for more than 10 miles and saw that there were many cottages. The cottages opened up a block of farmland. Some caravans rested in these cottages. Hua Kai saw some affiliated family members who knew him. Saying hello to him, he smiled and responded one by one. The Hua family has 3 camps in Beishan. Although both sides of the road are prosperous, the buildings are very simple. This is to prevent Beishan from being attacked, and the Hua family evacuates quickly when they cannot resist. When you arrive at the cottage building city, which is the main development of Wahia, the construction here is very good. Building the city is the name built by the second uncle Wazi. It is actually a cottage area built on the mountainside. There are tens of thousands of members and slaves living in the Hua family. This is Hua Kai's control hub in Beishan. Building the city, there are newly reclaimed farmland everywhere, and family patrols are patrolling the surrounding areas. In addition to defending against the wild beasts that may appear in the south, they mainly defend against the wolves that can be seen everywhere in the North Mountain. He took a long look at Hua Kai and didn't plan to enter. He went to the Yemazai on the west side of Beishan and turned around. This place is smaller than Jicheng, but there are a lot of merchants who have just come from Donghu. They are all here to rest, and the bustling is no worse than building the city. After a rest in Yamazai for one night, the person in charge here is a special grade family member of the Wa family. The other party gave Huakai a detailed introduction to Huakai's current development in Beishan. Now there are more than 300 small cottages in Beishan. The Wahia only controls the 3 major areas and meets with other cottage leaders once a month. When the original inhabitants here first started, there were frequent disturbances. Nowadays, the Wa family has defeated the Donghu country, and more Jialiu County families are building their own cottages here, and the original inhabitants can no longer cause disturbances. Beishan is the most important transit point for Wahia's business in the grassland, and it is also one of the important directions of Wahia's future development. The cottages are still under rapid construction this year and will become Wahia's bridgehead for grassland trade in the future. In the early morning of the second day, Huakai and Warentuya started their trip to the grassland. They ran fast all the way. Luma was supported by Huakai's continuous truchi, and they came to Ordos in just 2 days. Tribe. Huakai did not notify Shui Chen earlier. When they rode to the outskirts of the Ordos tribe, the entire Ordos tribe was on guard. The Ordos tribe had already been attacked by masters twice this year. When Huakai revealed his identity, the Tifa Patriarch had already coming. Brother Huakai, you are finally here. This is younger brother and sister. I heard that the princesses of the Ujumchin tribe are the most beautiful pearls in the grassland. Prepare for dinner, Patriarch Tifa said happily when he saw Wakai. How is the situation in the Hun country this year? I heard that the northern tribe of the Huns has organized and attacked the Ordos tribe several times. How about the tribe's losses? Wakai asked. Now more than 70% of the tribes of the entire Huns have turned to the Ordos tribe, and there are only 5 tribes in the north that are still insisting. The Ordos tribe has lost many royal family members, but it cannot affect the situation of the entire Huns. Now my tribe Shantian has 11 people, that is, I can't break through the foundation building realm. It is very difficult for the tribe to unify the Zongnu country, said Patriarch Tifa. Huakai and Warentuya came to the Ordos tribe. He chatted with the chief Tifa about the Ordos tribe. In just 8 years, the Ordos tribe has changed from a medium tribe with a population of 50,000 to a population of more than 100,000 and 20 slaves. 10,000, and hundreds of affiliated tribes. The total power is spread over the large tribes in the central and southern parts of the Huns, and their controlled population has exceeded 1.3 million. We must know that Lindsay city of Chi State has more than 400,000 people, and the population directly under its jurisdiction is more than 800,000. In addition, the total population of the 6 countries and 5 counties is more than 2 million. The Ordos tribe is no smaller than the general second-ranked country in terms of power alone. The Ordos tribe has been exporting elixir, strange stones, furs, animal bones and other materials to the Wa family in recent years. The Wa family's development to the present level is also inseparable from the Ordos tribe. After more than 10 minutes in the Tifa Patriarch Wang's tent, Wakai saw that Shui Chen was also here. I have seen the Patriarch. Shui Chen saluted Wakai. Yes, you are doing well in the tribe, and cultivation base has reached the 7th floor of Shantian realm. Wakai looked at Shui Chen and admired. Shui Chen is now one of the most important retainers of the Wa family. Although the Shui family has not established a mansion in Jialiu County, even Shui Chen's big sis is still serving as a maid for Huakai's mother, but everyone knows that the Shui family will become Jialiu in the future. One of the most powerful families in the county has already started to have a family contact with Shui Pan and Shui Chen. If Wakai is willing, Shui Chen can become the 6th rank family at any time. It is the subordinate's duty to worry about the Lord. Many people in the Chinese stronghold know that the Patriarch is coming, and they want to see the Patriarch. They don't know if the Patriarch is passing by or have to stop here for a while. Shui Chen reminded. As the Patriarch of Huakai, the allegiance of all the strongholds can only be Wakai. In recent years, Wakai has rarely visited the Ordos tribe. This is not conducive to the loyal ascension of members and slaves of the stronghold. I plan to stay here for a while, and then go to the Ujumchin tribe. After solving the matter of the Ujumchin tribe, the 2 of us will go to the western part of Dawan. We will talk about the details in the evening. When the Patriarch Tifa on the side heard Shui Chen's name as Lord Huakai, his expression couldn't help. He didn't expect that Huakai would have been in the foundation building so soon. The Ordos tribe had allies in the foundation building. The tribe no longer needs to be passive. 63%. Chapter 354 Grassland Battlefield. In the evening, I returned to the Wahia residence with Shui Chen. The appearance of this place has changed drastically in the past few years. Under the education of the Hua family, thousands of slaves have become the main personnel of the Hua family in the Ordos tribe. Under the management of more than 100 Hua family members, they are responsible for tens of thousands of slaves, more than 100,000 cattle and sheep, and thousands of horses. Grazing work. At the same time, they are also responsible for the trade docking between the Hua family, the Ordos tribe and the Ujumchin tribe. The scale of the entire Hua family base is no longer smaller than that of some medium tribes. Send Yurantuya back to the tent to rest. Hua Kai came to Shui Chen's tent. At this time, there were more than 20 people sitting in Shui Chen's tent. Has become a core member of the stronghold. Hua Kai looked past everyone and saw that these people were loyal to more than 80 points. It seems that Shui Chen has not let go of everyone's ideological education work in the base in the past few years. You have done very well in the past few years, I know. When you return to Jaliu City, you will all get the rewards you deserve for your hard work in the past few years. These are enough for you to marry a wife and have children and live happily for decades. Hua Kai first, he said to the Hua Jia Ding. Jia Ding smiled and nodded when he heard this. They weren't here for their own family. Hua Kai directly said that the remuneration made everyone very real. There are also slaves in the stronghold. Tomorrow Shui Chen, you will gather all the people who are qualified to be promoted to the family, and gather all those who can restore their civilian status. I will personally release them from slavery after the inspection. Hua Kai said. Several slaves also laughed happily at this time. Regardless of whether they are important members of the Wahia tribe in the Ordos tribe, they often go to contact with the Grassland tribe, and they will always be inferior. If they can become the Wahia clan, then they can. He raised his head and spoke to everyone. After Hua Kai said this, he told everyone about the development of Sha Jaliu County in the past few years, and the battle between Baoyuguan and Donghu. When everyone heard that King Donghu led an army of 300,000, everyone was worried. Finally learned that the entire East Hu army had been wiped out by the Hua family, everyone couldn't help but laugh out loud. Many Hua family members missed their families more than 4,000 miles away. They told the Hua family about their growth and achievements in the grassland over the past few years. Hua Kai listened patiently. Hearing Shui Chen said that there are already 41 Qi practicing realms and 317 Qi practicing realms in the Hua family base, Hua Kai is also happy. Returning to the tent in the evening, Hua Kai entered family space and forged hundreds of weapons. This is an affirmation and reward for being here for several years. On the second day, the Wahia stronghold launched a huge promotion activity. 5 family members were promoted by Hua Kai to special family members, 3 slaves were promoted to first-class family members by Hua Kai, and 29 slaves were promoted to second-class family members, more than 200 the slave was promoted to the third class. They all knelt in front of Hua Kai and solemnly swore to him that they would be loyal to Hua Kai and the Hua family in the future. In addition, more than 4,500 slaves have been released from slavery. They will get corresponding remuneration for doing things in the future. There will be earth-shaking changes in life in the future. Of course, some people have not been mentioned by Hua Kai. Some slaves who are considered to be promoted to Jading were unsuccessful in the end. Hua Kai has seen that the loyalty points of these slaves are all below 40, so let's continue to reform in the slave camp. They also lost their original rights in the stronghold. Hua Kai and Shui Chen went to the Ordos tribe to help Patriarch Tifa check the loyalty of the tribe's talents, so that he can firmly grasp the tribe's rights and keep the tribe's momentum for rapid growth. Thousands of horses were selected in Ordos. Most of these are strong horses that can be upgraded. There are more than 200 horses that can be upgraded, and 3 BMWs that can be upgraded. Hua Kai spent 3 days to upgrade the horses. The last 3 all the BMWs failed to upgrade. 4 of the horses were upgraded to BMWs, and he was left to mark them like the horses in the Heavenly Horse Field in Weisang. When there is time in the future, Shui Chen will slowly upgrade these horses by himself. After Hua Kai went to the Ordos tribe slave camp, he selected tens of thousands of B or more slaves. The Hua family got half of them. For the first time, Hua Kai saw an S-class qualified slave in the Ordos tribe. Hua Kai sent 36 members of the Ordos tribe into the family secret realm space trial, in exchange for the ownership of this S-level qualified slave. He gave the slave to Shui Chen to train him himself. Suddenly, the Ordos tribe added 2 more Shantian realms, and many others have entered the Shantian bottleneck. The Ordos tribe now has 13 Chi practicing realms, which is a sign that the Tifa Patriarch has not yet been promoted to the foundation building. On September 15th, half a month later, Hua Kai, Warentuya, and Shui Chen left the Ordos tribe on horseback and drove towards the Deu kingdom. It has been going west out of the border of the Huns. This is the border of the Xiaoyu kingdom. No, it should belong to the Deu kingdom now. Hua Kai's 3 horses only saw the sporadic investigation team of the Deu kingdom wandering the grassland without seeing a tribe of herders. Patriarch, 700 miles to the south is the battlefield between the Deu kingdom and the Xiaoyu kingdom. In order to resist the attack of the Deu kingdom, several remaining great families of the Yichu kingdom brought tens of thousands of elites to help the Xiaoyu kingdom fight. Shall we go over and take a look? Shui Chen said and looked at Hua Kai, then took a look at Warentuya. Let's go. We are allies with the Ujumchin tribe. When we get here, we have to go and say hello. Hua Kai said, turning his head and drove south. Warentuya never spoke. He rode on Clouded Leopard and followed Hua Kai. After walking for about 4 hours, they finally saw the battlefield of the Great Moon Kingdom. Expeditionary operations on the grasslands are very difficult. They rely on cattle and sheep for food and grass. The food used by more than 700,000 troops is a huge number every day. Hua Kai is close to the position of the Donghu army and saw a group of cavalry approaching them. When the other party saw Warentuya, they seemed very surprised. The 2 of them rode back to the camp hurriedly to tell the news to Patriarch Ujumukin. Warentuya rode clearing the Cloud Leopard into the camp of the Great Moon Kingdom. On the road, all the soldiers of the Deu kingdom just looked at it from a distance. None of them did not know Warentuya's mount. Hua Kai, Shui Chen and Warentuya entered the camp together, and under the leadership of the soldiers, they soon came outside the king's tent. The head of the Ujumukin was suffering from a headache. The last 10 tribes of the Xiaoyu kingdom gathered together. About 200,000 people were his final target. But because of the amalgamation of several great families in the Yichu kingdom, these more than 200,000 people he has been playing for 4 months, but he can't get it anymore. There are more than 20,000 people in the great family of Yichu kingdom, which seems insignificant in front of the Deu kingdom, but the 3 foundation building realms and the Shantian realms of the other party are the most troublesome for him. Every time the opponent's foundation building realm fights to kill his Shantian masters, he has to be careful to dispatch Shantian. The opponent's Shantian realm appears to be very active, and the Chi training realm and pneumatic realm of the Great Moon Kingdom are suppressed. The high-end combat power was frustrated, and the Great Moon Kingdom could not achieve great results every time it attacked, and both sides have been exhausted until now. Now it's up to who can't hold on. If the Great Moon Kingdom gives up, the tribes of the Xiaoyu kingdom that have surrendered to him may turn to rely on these tribes. Then the achievements of the 2 years of attacking the Xiaoyu kingdom may be lost. N.S. My king, the princess is here, and Patriarch Hua and Shui Chen are here too. A Ujumukin tribal banner owner entered the king's account and said to the Ujumukin chief. Warentuya is here. She should have just come back to passing by Hua Kai. You brought them in. Chief Ujumukin said. Hua Kai, Warentuya, and Shui Chen recognized that they had entered the Wang tent, and saw Ujumchin sitting on the top of the Wang tent alone. His spirits seemed not to be very good. Patriarch Hua is here. The King of Redemption has never been far away. Sit down. Daughter, come over and let the father see. Ujumukin looked at Warentuya with a happy expression. Hua Kai saw that the head of the Ujumchin clan had a bit of kingly air on his face for 2 years. Sitting in a high position alone, he saw that Hua Kai had no intention of getting up. Warentuya took Hua Kai's arm and saw Ujumukin tell her to walk to the other side. He knew that the father was suffering because of the war by looking at the appearance of the Patriarch Ujumukin. Daughter, you are here just right. There are 3 foundation buildings in the Xiaoyu clan. The father is not an opponent. Let your spirit beast take the shot. If the father is sure to hurt one of them, this war will be easy to fight. Ujumu Chief Chin looked at Warentuya and said. Kai Lang said that it is not a good thing to destroy the Xiaoyu country. If you are in conflict with the remaining Yichu country, you will be warned by Lin Huguo, especially since the Qin country has completely occupied the Yichu country. With 3 powerful opponents, the Great Moon Kingdom may be here to shed blood. Warentuya said. Who said that we must defend the Qin state? If we can make good relations with the Qin state and divide and rule on the northern border of the Yichu state, do you think Lin Hu state and Yichu state will participate in our opponents? Wuzhu Patriarch Mu Qin said and looked at Hua Kai, because he saw that his daughter's thoughts had been put on the young man in front of him. So long as Hua Kai spoke to Warentuya, he would definitely obey. Qin is the largest country in the Central Plains and the largest country in the world. Does this Patriarch Ujumqin know? Hua Kai asked aloud. Naturally no. Ujumqin looked at Hua Kai. As one of the allies of the Ujumqin tribe, the Hua family has disagreed with Hua Kai in recent years, and the distance between the two parties is getting farther and farther. Qin was the world's largest country a few years ago. In the past few days, they have successively annexed Yichu, Ba, and Shu. Now the three major countries of Zhao, Wei, and Chu are all afraid of being annexed by Qin. Is it not good to be an ally with a powerful country? If we take this opportunity to annex Linhu, the Deu country will surely become the same as the Chang, and the Qin country will not dare to provoke it. Clan Chief Wujumukin asked. Road. Now even the senior officials of the Qi state are preparing. Yan Guo is solving the crisis between Donghu and the northern part of the country in order to be able to fully meet the upcoming war in the Central Plains. There is only one goal for all countries, and that is Qin state. Hua Kai said here. Seeing Ujumukin no longer speaking, he continued to speak. If Qin can dominate the world without any country's control, who do you think his next opponent will be? Qin's current horses and cavalry may not be as good as the Deu country, but 10 years later, 100 years from now. Deu, what about the clan? Is it going to fight against Qin with the Chang, Wusun, and Shendu? Hua Kai said and looked at the Wujumukin Patriarch. 63%. Chapter 355. When Patriarch Ujumqin heard Hua Kai say this, he suddenly lost his voice. If the Qin state unifies the Central Plains, the next target will inevitably be himself, not to mention that the horses and cavalry of the Deu kingdom are stronger than Qin, and there is no need for the Qin state to train cavalry and good horses. There are so many gold core and foundation building areas in the Central Plains. There is no power to fight at all, and maybe he can only take everyone to hide under the Shenying Mountain to be safe. With King Qin's power, Shenying Mountain might not protect him. The only way for them to survive is to move the whole country to the northwest to flee for their lives before Qin ruled the Central Plains. At that time, they would not necessarily be able to survive in Wusun. Is the state of Qin really so powerful? Clan Chief Wujumukin asked Hua Kai after a long time. Before the kingdom of Qin occupied Yichu, Ba, and Shu, it was always surrounded by the Chang, Yichu, Zhao, Wei, Ba, Shu, South Korea and other countries. They have been fighting against these countries all year round, and these countries have been besieging the state of Qin. Hua Kai said. Ujumukin began to remain silent. In this way, Qin's dominance would be the general trend. He helped Qin share the pressure of the northern territory, and it would be easier for Qin to defeat other surrounding countries. 400 years ago, the Yu clan was the largest tribe in the grassland, and it was stronger than the Chang people today. It was later split into the Deu kingdom and the Xiaoyu kingdom. Being able to curl up under the Shenying Mountain, the entire Deu kingdom became loose. Restoring the prosperity of the Ujumqin family is the wish of every Ujumqin patriarch. It seems that now is not the time to restore the glory of the Yu family. Hua Kai, when you marry Warentuya, you are also half the master of the Deu kingdom. What do you think the Deu kingdom should do? Patriarch Ujumukin looked at Hua Kai. Hua Kai glanced at Warentuya next to him, and pondered for a while. Now the Xiaoyu nation has existed in name only. Most of the Xiaoyu nation's tribes have already taken refuge in the Ujumqin tribe. The remaining more than a dozen tribes just don't want to be ruled by the Ujumqin tribe. I think we can discuss with each other. After all, the great family of Yichu kingdom hated the Qin kingdom the most, and they were unwilling to be enemies of the Deu kingdom. We have room to escape. Hua Kai said. Patriarch Ujumukin nodded when he heard Hua Kai's words. The Great Moon Kingdom must stop the war. Now only by preserving its strength can it play a role in future wars. In the long river of history, it can be obtained for the Ujumukin tribe, vitality. The matter of negotiating with the great family of Yichu kingdom is left to you. The bottom line of the Ujumukin tribe is that all the occupied areas will not be returned. After all, we are still the initiative now. After speaking, looking at Urantuya heard a beautiful smile on her face. Hua Kai nodded. Now he is the most suitable mediator. As long as the Great Moon Kingdom is unwilling to fight this battle, it will be easy to end. Stayed for one night in the Deu State Barracks. Early the next morning, Hua Kai rode Luma out of the Deu State Barracks and drove towards the Xiaoyu State Barracks. He rode Luma slowly to the top of the opposing barracks. Many soldiers below knew that Hua Kai was a monarch when they saw it, and they quickly notified the barracks. Hua Kai felt 3 mental energy approaching him, and he released mental energy to dissipate the opponent's temptation in the air. I don't know who is visiting. Pan Song from the Pan family of Yichu country also invites you to come down. A voice came, and Hua Kai saw a black-clothed face faced Hudayan in the largest tent below. He rode down and fell down. Everyone looked at him warily. Gao Liucheng Hua Kai, come to visit. Hua Kai fell in front of the opponent. Are you the helper invited by the Great Moon Kingdom? It's not easy to have a foundation building at such a young age. You don't think you can take our entire camp alone? Pan Song said while looking at Hua Kai. If that happens, I can come with the soldiers of the Great Moon Kingdom. I think with my help, it shouldn't be difficult for the Great Moon Kingdom to eliminate the remnants of the Xiaoyu Kingdom. Hua Kai looked at the other side and asked softly, Road. Huh, you can try. Although Pan Song is tough, he knows what Hua Kai said is the truth. Just now the three of them attacked Hua Kai and were easily resolved, which shows that the others' willpower is beyond the three of them. Too many. Such a young foundation building environment, they will not easily provoke. Hua Kai saw that the other party had entered the camp, and smiled and followed him into the tent. He saw that the other party's karma was already reaching the point where it could not be suppressed, presumably the family of the Yichu kingdom could not hold on anymore. If you come here, let's talk about it. We are indispensable to the Xiaoyu clan and the families of the Yichu clan. If you have the ability, let the Dayu clan come. Hua Kai had just entered the account, and saw there were two people inside, both of whom were in the foundation building environment. The three of them should be the heads of the three largest families in Yichu Kingdom. Why do the three refuse to be thousands of miles away? You know the karma in your body. How long can you hold on if I don't come? I didn't invite surrender for the Great Moon Kingdom. Hua Kai said. Then what are you here for? Pan Song asked. Talk to it. Hua Kai said. Talking about the Atsuki Congress. Tell me what you really came for. Another foundation building Jing said. If the situation is going on today, I think the three of you will not know how to spend all your strength here. Only Qin will be happy. I think we need to talk about it. Hua Kai said. The three looked at each other and knew that Hua Kai had come to negotiate sincerely. The Great Moon Kingdom had found a powerful ally, and this ally was unwilling to fight against him. This was a good thing for them. They don't want to fight anymore. The Great Moon Kingdom has powerful allies. If they continue to fight, they will have one more powerful enemy. They are not allowed to cooperate with Xiao Yushi to survive. If it is not for gaining a piece of territory, how could they be desperately here with Da Yushi? Guests, we are also forced. Yichu country has no place for us. Only by staying here can we have the opportunity to counterattack and regain our homeland. We are willing to negotiate. I don't know what the Dayu country requires. The old man seemed to be the backbone of the three, and said to Hua Kai. The Xiaoyu kingdom is declared annihilated. You can establish a new territory on this land, which is nominally subordinate to the Ujumukan tribe. There will be no Dayu kingdom and Xiaoyu kingdom on this grassland, only Yu kingdom. Hua Kai said. It's impossible. How can we take refuge in the Dayu kingdom? The Xiaoyu kingdom will not agree. Pan Song shouted. The Xiaoyu nation has no right to choose, and this is the best result for you. In the future, I will let the Ujumukan tribe give you some support, so that you can regain the hope of taking back the Yichu nation. Hua Kai Dao. The three of them were silent, but they belonged to the new Yu kingdom in name, which was acceptable. If they can get the support of the other party, their recovery speed will inevitably be much faster. Although the remaining grassland in the Xiaoyu country is not large, it is still possible to feed more than 200,000 people. Okay, you guys think about it. By the way, I would like to remind you that in addition to their high priest, the Queen of the Great Moon Kingdom is also in the foundation building realm, and Princess Urantuya also owns a foundation building. The spirit beast is used as a mount, and Urantuya is now in the Dayushi state camp. Hua Kai left the camp after speaking, and all the soldiers outside the camp looked at him and no one stopped him. What is your relationship with the Great Moon Kingdom? Pan Song hurriedly called out when he saw Hua Kai leaving. Hua Kai stopped, smiled and glanced at the other person, without answering, jumped onto Luma and went off into the air. Back to the military camp of the Dayu clan, Patriarch Wujumukan, Warentuya, and Shui Chen were waiting for him in the big tent. K Lang, how are the talks? Is the other party willing to truce? Urantuya came to Hua Kai and asked. The Xiaoyu kingdom will no longer exist. The families of the Yichu kingdom and the tribes of the Xiaoyu kingdom are attached to the Ujumukan tribe in name. This is the best result for both parties. Hua Kai said. Patriarch Ujumukan and Urantuya couldn't help but smile, leaving a buffer between you and Qin. This can reduce the chance of conflict between the two sides. They can hurry to digest the new land and now grow stronger. Oneself is the most important thing. In the early morning of the next day, representatives of the three great families of the Yichu country led more than 20 representatives of the family of the Yichu country to the Dayu military camp. Huakai and the Ujumukan Patriarch met each other together. With the general direction set by Huakai, the two sides quickly negotiated, and the result of the armistice came out soon. Now there are only boundary issues and time to withdraw troops. Here Patriarch Ujumchin made a small concession, and finally the two sides reached an agreement, but the final plan required the consent of the tribes of the Xiaoyu country. On the third day, the families of the Yichu kingdom had already convinced more than a dozen tribes of the Xiaoyu clan, and the two sides finalized the truce plan in the Dayu clan barracks, and the war was finally over. From this day on, there are no big and small moons in the world. Everyone in the barracks is happily preparing to go home. They will all be rewarded after this battle. Seeing that all the soldiers were packing their luggage and preparing to go home, Wakai, Warentuya, and Shui Chen did not stop and drove towards the direction of the Ujumchin tribe on horseback. At this time, the victory and defeat of the East Hu army, led by Zhu, Feng, and the Gongsun family, were also divided. Zhu, Feng, and Gongsun were defeated, and they took the last tribe to the north of the Great Wall of Yan. Entering the borders of the Donghu country, they began to contact the various tribes. Now they know the news of the death of the Donghu king. The Donghu king court is still entangled with the Hua family in Jialiu County. Wars began in the east and south of Donghu country. The three big families didn't expect that they would end up like this in the end. They only had a nomadic way to go, annexing small tribes and slowly growing themselves. This was the barbaric way of life they most looked down upon before, but now they have to do it. 63%. Chapter 356. Huakai and Shui Chen came to the Ujumchin tribe. All members of the Ujumchin tribe knew that the Dayu kingdom had achieved an escalation of war, and that there would be no difference between the big and the small. Everyone was very happy. Yurantuya called all the tribe chiefs who had taken refuge in her, and Huakai showed her the loyalty and qualifications of these people. Yurantuya has been happy to discuss these people with Huakai these days for their high loyalty value. How to cultivate people. Wakai gave the ascension training plan for each of her strengths. Now Yurantuya is in control of this half-month country, and it is quite easy to train these people. The loyalty of his subordinates knew that Huakai asked Yurantuya to organize all the warriors, herders, and slaves of the tribe and flag under her, and he began to select highly qualified personnel again. For the highly qualified personnel selected this time, Huakai intends to let Yurantuya train a powerful cavalry, so as to ensure that the Yu kingdom will have the ability to fight with Qin's sharp soldiers when facing Qin. After checking more than 30,000 people every day, Huakai checked the qualifications for more than 400,000 people, and selected 60,000 people with C+ or higher qualifications among them. He assigned 2,400 of them to Wuren with A or higher qualifications. Tuya focuses on training, with 22,000 B+ and above qualified personnel for training resources, and more than 30,000 C+ qualified members are trained in a unified manner. It is believed that with the power of the Yuezhi nation, they will be able to form combat power within 3 years. In the Ujumchin tribe, hundreds of horses were selected, and Huakai kept the second strong to upgrade. After these horses were successfully upgraded, the Ujumchin tribe would pay half of the rewards for the upgrade of the Chinese family. After finishing these, Yushi the personnel who had gone to fight abroad slowly returned. Wakai didn't want to participate in the celebration activities of the Yu family. After bidding farewell to Yurantuya, they rode and drove towards the northwest of the Yu family with Shui Chen. The weather becomes colder as it goes to the north. Wakai felt that light snow was beginning to float here as soon as October. He and Shui Chen walked with a simple map for 2 days before they were 300 miles north of the destination. Find the country of Dawan. Dawan is more than 2,000 miles away from the Wujumukan tribe. This is actually a large Dingmu tribe. The spiritual qi is relatively thin and there are various rocky beaches everywhere, and many houses are built with stones. The population of Dawan is about 300,000, and they all love to raise horses. Huakai enters here and many people wearing wolf fur coats watch him and Shui Chen's sacred horse give pointers. Although many herdsmen here are not strong enough, they can look forward to horses. But there is one hand. Inquiring about the royal family who found them, the king of Dawan and his people personally greeted them. Huakai found that the king of Dawan only had the ability to practice the middle stage, and there were very few people above the aerodynamic stage in Dawan. This is because spiritual qi is thin and cultivation is difficult here. But spiritual cheese thinness is also good. That is, there are not many wild beasts, and wild beasts are rare, and demonic beasts are not willing to come to such a place. The only thing that Darwin faces here is a small number of prairie wolves. Entering their city, it looks much lagging behind Wahiapu 10 years ago. Huakai proposed a deal to King Darwin, who agreed to the deal and said that he could provide up to 2,000 Darwin horses. Life's Darwin horse in the Gobi Desert is tall and has good endurance, making it very suitable for heavy cavalry. Huakai was willing to take out 1,000 stone snowflake salt, 200 fine cloth, 500 caddies of tea and 100 gold and white sugar to exchange with each other. King Darwin readily accepted and agreed to let Huakai choose 1,800 steeds and 200 BMWs. After paying a part of the deposit, Wakai and Shui Chen left Darwin on horseback. They first explored the area north of the Yu family, and when they returned, they would notify the second Zhuang to take the horse away. After leaving the country of Darwin, the two went all the way north to Wusun. As a big country on the grassland second only to the Chang, Wusun country is not much stronger than the country of the Yu family. It's just that you go west from the country of the Yu family. There are rocky beaches everywhere. It's difficult for carriages to walk. Patriarch, what's the matter? Shui Chen couldn't help asking when he saw Wakai stopped riding his horse. Nothing. Wakai finished speaking and moved on. He just heard the system ascension. The main task 8 is finally completed. This month, Huakai's family cultural value did not grow into Karyu County. The growth rate of ascension slowed down slightly. On October 5th, the cultural value only broke 5,000. Huakai looked at family attributes. Wa family, 4th rank family. Prosperity, 55,018. Combat power, 34,152. Agriculture, 24,299. Animal husbandry, 49,200. Commercial, 30,177. Culture, 5,000. Comprehensive strength, 197,846. Allies, Ordos tribe, 4th rank, Yao family, 6th rank, Lu family, 2nd rank, Sihai Chamber of Commerce, 4th rank, Ujamukan tribe, 2nd rank. Affiliated forces, Shui family, 6th rank, Yu family, 7th rank, Tang family, 7th rank, Huang family, 7th rank, Ren family, 7th rank, Jia family, 8 ranks, Yi family, 8th rank, Tai family, 8 rank, Yu family, 9 rank, Wang family, 9 rank. Hostile forces, Zhu family, 3rd rank, Feng family, 3rd rank, Gongsun family, 3rd rank, Zhao Guoshan family, 3rd rank, Lindsay City Bu family, 7 rank. Capital, 194 purple gold coins, 285317 taels of gold, 94,823 taels of silver, 6,411,821 bone coins. Luck value, 162,941. Portable space, 6 cubic meters. The Wa family was promoted to the 4th rank. Wa Kai saw that the family's affiliated power suddenly increased. There were hundreds of family powers in total. Among them, the Shui family was considered to be the strongest family affiliated to the Wa family. This shows that the Shui family's influence in the Wa family has already beyond all families. Huakai can also figure it out. Huakai is looking at the system prompts. System reminder. Congratulations to the host for completing the 8th mission of the main line, rewarding 1 Chong Right God Monkey, a pair of continuous ballista, and a bottle of superior qualification pill. Huakai did not rush to extract the main task rewards, he first checked the new main task. Main task 9. Promote to the 3rd rank family. Task requirements. 1. The comprehensive strength of the family reaches 100,000 points. Completed. 2. One attribute of the family reaches 50,000 points. Completed. 3. The host's strength reaches the foundation building level. Undone. 4. The number of family members with a loyalty value of 100 points exceeds 100. Completed. 5. The population of the territory exceeds 100,000. Completed. 6. The family has 10 persons with S level or higher qualifications and 1 person with SS level or higher qualifications. Completed. 7. The average qualifications of family directory members exceed the C+ level. Completed. 7. The comprehensive strength of allies exceeds 500,000 and the comprehensive strength of affiliated forces exceeds 200,000. Undone. 9 main missions rewards. Undead Legion, a set of barracks map, extreme spirit formation, a mountain and river map, high-level spirit treasure, 3 imprisonment charms, 1-time immortal charms, 10 bottles of random level qualification pill. Undead Army Barracks. Special arms can be trained. Undead Army. The maximum number of arms is 500. Mountain and river map. Contains mountain and river landforms. Consumption of mental energy can change the weather of mountains and rivers. Containment talisman. Imprison the target's willpower for 10 minutes, a one-time consumable. Every third level task of the main line of the family is a big ascension. I am very happy to see that the family is about to be promoted to the third rank. The main task 9 requires him to have only 2 unfinished now. One is his own foundation building, and the other is that the comprehensive strength of the family-affiliated forces is not enough. Hua Kai checked that the comprehensive strength of the affiliated forces of the Hua family is now 130,000, which is not far from the 200,000 mark. As long as he is willing, he can ascension the strength of the affiliated tribe at any time. Thinking of this, Hua Kai is extremely eager, and wants to complete this goal as soon as possible and then go home. As long as the Hua family can be promoted to the third rank family and complete the main task 9, then the strength of the Hua family will inevitably be ascension. It is easy to find Wusun country, because the entire northern part of Dawan country belongs to Wusun country. In October, Wusun country had completely snowed. Hua Kai had been sparsely populated here for a long time before seeing the herdsmen of Wusun country. They saw that Hua Kai and Shui Chen showed a hostile attitude for the first time. The herdsmen of Wusun country are tall and have white skin. This may be the reason why they are in the severe cold all year round. Seeing the horses of Wusun state, Hua Kai didn't want to go to Wusun state anymore. These horses are bigger than Dawan horses. In the snow, they can also use their horses' hoofs to plow the snow and eat the hay below, but these horses are all the body is larger, with short legs and very wide hoof palms, suitable for walking on snow and ice. The horses of Wusun state were not suitable for riding on the grassland. Hua Kai saw that the foreigners here were more resistant, so he gave up his plan to look for the Wusun royal family and continued to ride west on horseback. Going west, the grass gradually becomes sparse, and the ground is full of rocks. It is difficult for ordinary horses to walk here. Hua Kai and Shui Chen rode a horse to the west for 2 days. After walking for more than 2,000 miles, they found that this was a barren land. Without the grass, many groups of rocks began to appear in front of them, and there were some poisonous insects and small rodents. Walked through the rocks. After walking for more than 1,000 miles, the front becomes an endless desert, where spiritual qi is already very sparse. With Hua Kai and Shui Chen's aptitude and mental level, they dare not use true qi lightly anymore. This is the desert of death. It is said that the land of death that the foundation building can't pass through. There are books here that record the appearance of the great demon, but in such a place without spiritual qi, how could the great demon appear here? Shui Chen looking at Hua Kai and said, "The big demon may not be real, but there may be demonic beasts here. Later, let's be careful. If you encounter danger, go to family space and avoid it. You protect yourself," Hua Kai said. According to the information on the resting place that Hua Kai could find, they would need to walk 16,000 miles to cross this desert. The other end of the desert will be the legendary cursed resting place. The two rode on the horse, and did not encounter any danger. The horse was racing in the desert. Hua Kai put his mental energy to the farthest. As yin and yang, he could foresee some upcoming dangers. When Shenju was tired, Hua Kai fed them green fodder to replenish their physical strength, and fed them with spiritual qi. They stopped to rest for more than 10 minutes every hour, and they traveled more than 2,000 miles in a day. In the evening, due to horses, the two took out the tent and found a place with little wind to rest. They did not encounter any accidents for 3 consecutive days. At noon 3 days later, Hua Kai suddenly felt a faint sense of crisis coming from a distance. He saw that it seemed to be an oasis. When he approached Shui Chen, he found that the oasis was not small, and the strong spiritual qi that was close to this place continued to disperse. Come. 63%. Chapter 357 Oasis Demonic Beasts. Patriarch, this oasis spiritual qi is so strong, there must be a powerful treasure. Shui Chen said while looking at the oasis in the distance. Such a place, so deserted, it must not be easy in it. You take the horse and wait outside, I'll go in and have a look. Hua Kai said. If you don't go in and take a look at such a special place, you really push your chances outward. Hua Kai could feel that although there is a crisis here, it is not strong. He can still enter the family space to escape in a crisis, so he plans to enter and check it out. Entering the oasis, Hua Kai felt a strong spiritual qi oncoming. This spiritual qi was not worse than Zongyuan. A strong will of water surrounds Hua Kai, and it is really not easy here. There were lush green grass everywhere in this oasis. Hua Kai also saw water flowing in the distance. He walked along the water source and soon saw a large lake. A white flower in the lake attracted his attention. Narcissus. Intermediate Lingbao water. The power of heaven and earth water spirit is gathered, and it has the effect of good fortune. It turned out to be a medium-grade spirit treasure. The medium-grade spirit treasure is much stronger than the low-grade spirit treasure. It is a water attribute spirit treasure and is completely used for foundation building. Using the intermediate Lingbao foundation building, the effect is no worse than the 3-story power of Will foundation building, so this daffodil is a rare treasure for any large family. Huakai slowly approached daffodils, paying attention to the surrounding changes. This kind of spirit treasure must be guarded by demonic beasts or spirit beasts, and can give himself a sense of crisis. The opponent is at least low-level demonic beasts. There seems to be nothing wrong. Huakai noticed that there was no change in the surroundings. The small lake was surrounded by a flat land, and the danger could only come from the lake. To obtain daffodils, you must enter the lake. Huakai got up and flew to a height of 100 meters. When he came to the sky above daffodils, he slowly descended. Daffodil, there seemed to be a dark shadow underneath. Huakai looked at the opponent should not be too big. He took out a small meteorite from the portable space and threw it at the dark shadow. I saw the meteorite entering the lake water, and the black shadow hitting the black shadow quickly flew out of the water, rushing directly towards Huakai in the air. Huakai felt a strong force of water rule appearing around him. This water rule actually exceeded 4 levels. Huakai saw here and hurriedly used the ice rule to fight against him, and waited for him to feel a little bit. When he can move, he hides directly in the family space. At the moment when Huakai left the sky above daffodil, a turquoise liquid flew quickly from where he was. After flying for thousands of meters, it slowly fell from a high altitude, and fell into a thicket of grass within a range of more than 10 meters. Fujiki died quickly. Huakai was also shocked when he returned to family space. He could feel a strong crisis just now. If he hadn't comprehended the 4-layer ice will, it would be difficult to escape today, even if he could hide. Enter family space. This should belong to the alien species of demonic beasts. It's not high in intelligence and likes to ambush. Legend has it that a drop of the venom of the water lizard can poison the foundation building realm. Huakai dare not try the detoxification in his space. Dan, can you get rid of the poison of water lizard demon snake? Coming out of family space, Huakai was still above daffodils. He saw that water lizard monster snake return to the water, and it was always under water lotus flower. It seems that it is not easy to get this daffodil. Huakai is unwilling to give up this opportunity to obtain daffodil. Even if he does not need to give daffodil to someone else's foundation building, he can still use it as a refining pill. Picking up some stones from the oasis, Huakai took them to the sky above daffodils and threw them towards water lizard snake. After seeing them, water lizard snake flew out of the water and let out a sharp roar towards Huakai. After flying away, Huakai didn't feel the huge crisis this time, so he began to back up quickly. Water lizard monster snake chased after a kilometer distance, and then returned to the lake. Knowing the opponent's strength and method of attack, Huakai began to understand. This water lizard demon snake has the strength of the foundation building realm Zochin, the most powerful of which is his venom and the 4-layer water rule control, but the 4-layer water rule cannot suppress Huakai, so Huakai just needs to guard against its venom attack. After harassing water lizard demon snake more than 10 times, the other party has been unable to get out of the lake. No matter how Huakai throws rocks, it is indifferent. Although his venom is powerful, it is not infinite. Every time the venom attacks it, it takes a long time to rest. Huakai was at the most in the middle stage of foundation building, and he didn't dare to fight with the opponent easily. Seeing that the opponent could not come out, his method of adjusting the tiger away from the mountain would not work, so he left the oasis to discuss with Shui Chen how to collect daffodils. After discussing for a long time, there was no solution. Shui Chen only practiced the 7th level of the Qi realm. Fire will realize the 1st level. It was definitely not enough for water lizard monster snake to kill. Now he can only use the most stupid method. NS. Huakai came to the lake again, and he took out the Baoguang glazed glass bottle and sucked at the lake water. That water lizard demon snake ignored Huakai's movements in the water. Huakai used the mental energy of gold core to control the Baoguang glass bottle for more than 10 minutes, and felt that the bottle was almost full. He was more than 10 miles away from the tour, and the water in his bottle was poured into the desert. It is like a sponge that can never be full. When Huakai pours out all the water, the surrounding desert has become wet for thousands of meters, and the amount of this trip is indeed a lot. On the second trip, I continued to use the Baoguang glass bottle. Every time Hua Kai poured water 10 miles away from the oasis, he ran more than 10 times, and he found that the water in the lake had finally dropped by about half an inch. Seeing the sky getting late, Hua Kai was afraid of the water lizard monster snake sneak attack, so he stopped continuing his work. Seeing the lake water had dropped for about a foot, Hua Kai exited the oasis. In the early morning of the next day, Hua Kai came to the oasis and saw that the night had passed. The lake was ascending by more than 5 inches, and half of the results of yesterday's labor were gone. It can be shown that the water volume of the spring underwater lizard monster snake is very large. Hua Kai transports 30 million tons of water each time. If it were not in the desert, this spring would definitely become a big river. I challenged water lizard snake over daffodils several times, but this water lizard snake was unwilling to come out. Hua Kai saw that the water continued to be pumped here. By the afternoon, the entire lake had gone down about 2 feet. From a distance, only about 4/5 of the former remains look like this. In one day today, more than half of the lake's water will be pumped. A part of the root system at the bottom of daffodil has been exposed above the water. Water lizard monster snake has begun to lose his breath. He began to approach the shore, as if looking for a chance to launch an attack on Hua Kai. Hua Kai go back to the other side of the lake to find an opportunity to continue pumping. After pumping a few more times, water lizard demon snake saw the lake water continue to fall, and it began to be anxious. It rushed out of the lake several times to attack Hua Kai, and Hua Kai escaped easily. Hua Kai pumping water can start sucking as long as it is close to the lake water for 5 meters. Then water lizard monster snake doesn't want to leave the lake for too long, staying at the edge of the lake and catching chickens with Hua Kai's eagles. Hua Kai's opportunity to be close to the lake is getting more and more opportunities less. Seeing that the water level in the lake began to ascending again, Hua Kai knew that this method could not solve water lizard monster snake. In the evening, Hua Kai saw the water level ascending again by half a foot. He left the oasis at a loss. This water lizard demon snake was completely helpless in the lake, and it was impossible to divert it away from the oasis. It seemed that he had to think about it again. On the second day, Hua Kai took the Baoguang glass bottle to collect sand in the desert. Sand was much harder to absorb than water. It took him more than an hour to fill the treasure bottle, and then flew to the oasis from the lake. The sky began to fill the lake, and the entire lake began to become clear. When the water lizard snake saw this jump into the air, Hua Kai retreated quickly, feeling that the other party started to imprison him using the water rule, and the other party started again. The venom was sprayed. In order to get rid of the opponent's confinement, Hua Kai hid in the family space. After a few minutes, he came out again and saw that water lizard demon snake returned to the lake. It stayed beside daffodils and would not leave. Long time. Hua Kai came to the lake again and began to fill the lake. When he saw the opponent jumped out of the lake and flew towards him, Hua Kai retreated quickly. The opponent did not use the rules of water to imprison him, so he did not need to hide in the family space. That's it. After more than 10 minutes, all the sand in the aquarium was poured into the water, and Hua Kai went to the desert to fill the sand. When it was dark, he poured sand 4 times, and the entire lake was muddy by him. The lake area was also hundreds of square meters smaller, and the water lizard monster snake was still guarding the daffodils and refused to leave. In the next few days, Hua Kai used the same method. Water lizard snake was forced to chase Hua Kai to the oasis several times. Shui Chen was hiding on the side of the oasis before he could steal the daffodils, then water lizard demon snake he hurried back again. The entire lake has been tossed by Hua Kai for a few days, and the area is more than twice as small as before. Hua Kai has left a gap, and the water in the lake flows out of the gap and gradually forms a small river. This time he filled up with sand again from high above the edge of the lake and filled the lake a little bit. The water lizard monster snake seemed to realize that it was impossible to go this way. It opened its mouth and screamed at Hua Kai, and Hua Kai saw a snake's head. Ying quickly flew towards him. A powerful will of heaven and earth made him unable to move, and Hua Kai knew that the other party was desperate for himself. In the middle of the snakehead phantom was a green monster core. Hua Kai felt that his mental energy was affected by the other party. Seeing the demonic beast's phantom getting closer and closer to him, he couldn't get rid of the other party's imprisonment for a while, so he had to the power of true chi and ice will gathered all over the body, and the phantom of the snake head swallowed Hua Kai at once. Hua Kai felt a powerful will of water enter his body. Ice will quickly resolve the opponent's damage. Hua Kai's body received a strong impact, and he flew into the air to feel the power of the surrounding imprisonment disappear, and hurriedly hid in family space. 63%. Chapter 358 Earth 357 Chapter Water Spirit Treasure Daffodils. Entering family space, Hua Kai couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of blood. The blood fell in the space and a hint of smoke appeared. Hua Kai hurriedly took out a detoxification pill and took it. Just now it was a desperate strike from the water lizard monster snake using monster core. After this strike, it may not be able to slow down for a few years. Hua Kai felt that the water will in his body was being melted a little bit by his ice wool, and the venom in the opponent's inner alchemy was not corroding his body, but also corroding their mental energy. Water lizard monster snake is too toxic. Hua Kai mental energy is powerful and can control most of the venom in the body from spreading, and then let the detox pill come into contact with the extremely poisonous body in the body. But detox pill, the poison effect of the water lizard demon snake is limited. Hua Kai urged detox pill that the poison is only slowly dissolving. After more than 10 minutes, a detoxification pill was quickly absorbed by Hua Kai, but only about 20% of the snake venom was relieved. He took out another detoxification pill and waited for it to be absorbed again, and more than 10% of the snake venom was removed. When it came to the third detox pill, Hua Kai felt that even 10% of the snake venom had not been removed this time. He took 3 detox pills in a row, and the erysipelas in his body had quickly accumulated to a high level. If he took it again, Hua Kai was afraid that he would have been killed by the erysipelas before the snake venom was relieved. If this is an ordinary person, these erysipelas may affect his lifelong promotion. Closed-door training will not necessarily solve these erysipelas in a few years. No one dares to take 3 medicine pills at once like Hua Kai. Taking out a clear body pill and taking it, the erysipelas from his body was quickly excreted from his pores. After more than an hour, Hua Kai opened his eyes and took out another detoxification pill. After the 3 detox pills this time, Hua Kai's snake venom has been detoxified by about 70%. A total of 9 detox pills were spent. After 3 clear body pills, Hua Kai's body was finally detoxified. And his mental energy also began to recover quickly. Hua Kai entered his sleep, and it only took more than 10 minutes for his mental energy to recover to its best condition. After entering the family space for 4 hours, when Hua Kai appeared again, he felt that the aura of the water lizard monster and snake was too weak. Now it must have entered a state of serious injury. He slowly fell from the air and came to Daffodil. Hua Kai knew that water lizard monster snake absolutely had no ability to release venom again. Even if it could be released, he didn't have to worry too much. Water lizard monster snake used the original power in monster core is now almost in a state of dying. Hua Kai has recovered from his injuries and is no longer afraid to fight the opponent head-on. System prompt. A low-level spiritual vein is found. It can be extracted. Do you want to extract it? The sudden system prompt made Hua Kai stunned. This kind of system proactive probe prompted Hua Kai to encounter it for the first time. It turned out to be a spiritual vein, and Hua Kai chose to extract it. Suddenly Hua Kai felt that the entire oasis began to vibrate, and a strong spiritual chi sprayed out from the lake. This spiritual chi was 10 times thicker than the Wahiabao Ju Ling 2 Gen spiritual chi when it was at its fullest. It was just a moment. The spiritual chi disappeared, and a crystal ball flew out of the lake. The water lizard monster snake saw the crystal ball regardless of its own injuries, biting it towards the crystal ball, but the crystal bottle was so fast that it appeared in an instant Hua Kai's hands. Hua Kai saw that this spiritual vein was similar to the sweet water spring rewarded by the system last time, except that the dragon in this crystal ball was white, and the dragon body was much larger. That water lizard demon snake also seemed to know that something important had been taken away by Hua Kai. It rushed towards Hua Kai angrily. Hua Kai took out the gentian gun and stopped being afraid of each other, and then retreated with it. Fight together. Although water lizard snake was seriously injured at this time, Hua Kai still felt the strength of the opponent after contacting him. He was forced to kill by the opponent and retreated. Hua Kai has been chased out of the oasis by Han. This water lizard demon snake is much stronger and stronger than Hua Kai. Even if he does not use venom, Hua Kai is not an opponent at all. He fought against the opponent for hundreds of rounds, and was attacked by the opponent in many places. It didn't take long for him to injured again. Water lizard snake was seriously injured in the battle, and the injuries became more serious. Hua Kai Yu Guang saw a figure in the distance running towards the oasis, and he desperately blocked water lizard snake from returning to the center of the oasis. The two sides fought for more than 10 rounds. When Hua Kai saw the signal that Shui Chen came out from a distance, Daffodil, Hua Kai could no longer hold onto it, and hid in the family space. A few mouthfuls of blood spurted out. Hua Kai had broken bones from multiple sources throughout his body and his internal organs were severely damaged. He hurriedly took out a rejuvenation pill and took it and sat cross-legged in Wu Jing Jai. At this time, Shui Chen also came in. N.S. Hua Kai closed his eyes for more than 10 minutes to heal his injuries. The injury in his body has stabilized. Shantian True Qi recovers very quickly. His injury may be life-threatening in the Qi training state, but he can be half-stepped to the foundation building. Said it can only be said to be a minor injury. After receiving the daffodil from Shui Chen, Hua Kai saw the power of water rule floating on the daffodil. Whoever refines it will soon have 3 layers of water will. With great power, Shantian Realm Zochan was directly promoted to the foundation building. Put daffodils in the portable space. There is no time to say. Daffodils can no longer spread. No matter when Huakai takes it out, it will be the same as when it was put in today. After staying in the family space for 2 hours, Huakai's injury was almost healed. He asked Shui Chen to stay in the family space and left family space by himself to investigate the current situation outside. As soon as he left the room, Huakai was taken aback by the sight in front of him. The vegetation in the entire oasis withered as if it wanted to die. He came to the middle of the lake and saw that the water was only a quarter of the original size. Water lizard snake was roaring angrily in the lake, and its breath was even greater than before. Weak, and saw Huakai appearing and flying towards the sky. Huakai didn't want to fight with each other again, and instantly hid back to family space, and saw that Grandpa was also here. Kay, where did you go? Why did you suffer so much damage twice in a day? Hua Xing looked at Huakai and asked. We encountered a water lizard monster snake who was about to enter the Gold Core realm. We took its water spirit treasure. As long as someone in our family reaches the Shantian realm Zochan, with this daffodil, the foundation building can quickly succeed, and it is a not weak existence in the foundation building environment. Hua Kai said. Lingbao is important, but you must take your own safety first. There are countless legends in the Death Desert. Most of the various demonic beasts have lived in it for thousands of years. You must be very careful. Hua Xing said. By the way, Grandpa, I have another spirit beast egg. After refining, I can get a spirit beast long right god monkey. This spirit beast has the blood of an ancient god beast. It is possible to enter the god transformation realm in the future. This spirit let the beast pill be handed over to you for refining. Hua Kai saw his grandfather and thought that the Hua family's goal is getting bigger and bigger now. It is inevitable that Hua Cheng was discovered by some big families, and quickly cultivated Chong right god monkey. The safety of Wei Sung City can be more assured, so I extracted the reward of the main task 8, took out the Chong right god monkey egg and gave it to Grandpa. This Chong right god monkey egg looked like an ordinary pebble, but Hua Xing and Shui Chen felt a strong mental pressure when they saw this Chong right god monkey egg. You should give this demonic beast's egg to someone else. It is rare for me to be able to reach Shantian with my limited qualifications. Letting Chong right god monkey recognize me as the master will affect its future growth. Hua Xing said. Hua Kai thought about it. It's better to refine Chong right god monkey eggs with SSS or higher qualifications. Wuren Tuya already has Cloud Leopard, Wushu has Tianlongju, and he owns Xiaoqiang. This Chong right god monkey, it must be the Hua family's direct line to recognize its master. Hua Kai does not have the right person to refine it. Patriarch, you may be able to refine this long right god monkey, and other people's qualifications and mental energy may not be backlashed. Shui Chen said from the side at this time. Hua Xing also agrees with Shui Chen's statement that now that the Hua family has grown stronger, they can also have access to a lot of knowledge that they did not have much contact with before. This Chong right monkey, if there is a real chance to be promoted to the god of transformation, then Hua Kai recognizes it as the head of the family. The lord is the most suitable. I already have Xiaoqiang. I don't know if I can let this long right god monkey recognize the lord. Let me try, Hua Kai said, closing his eyes and poking his mental energy into it. A special mental energy was noticed by Huakai. He contacted and communicated with the other party and felt that the other party's mental energy was about the size of the late stage of the foundation building. In order for the other party to recognize the master, the mental energy must be higher than the other party. Hua Kai visited the other party, and the other party seemed to be visiting Hua Kai. He tried to leave the brand of own spirit in the other party's spiritual consciousness, and the Chong-right monkey was still conscious of avoiding it. For the first time, Wakai knew that spirit beast eggs could still consciously refuse before hatching. He continued to communicate with the other party, slowly letting the other party familiarize themselves with him. After an unknown period of time, the long-right monkey consciousness calmed down and seemed to have accepted him. Separate a trace of mental energy to build a spiritual bridge with each other, which Huakai has already done with Xiaoqiang. After that thread of mental energy took root in the sea of consciousness of Chong-right monkey, Wakai felt a strong suction coming from the other side's sea of consciousness. It turned out that to incubate long-right monkey eggs, mental energy had to be used to catalyze it. Huakai's will is 76 points, which is close to the mental energy of Gold Core's late stage. Feeling the suction power of the opponent's mental energy, Wakai allows the opponent to absorb it. He feels that life is slowly awakening in the cobblestone in front of him. So the input of mental energy was accelerated. After more than 10 minutes, Wakai felt that his mental energy was less than half, and the breath of life in this long-right god monkey egg became more and more intense. Bump. A crisp stone crack sounded. Wakai felt that the speed of the other party's absorption of mental energy slowly stopped. He cut off the input of mental energy. A small life in the cobblestone was constantly trying to limit the eggshell suddenly, and finally the stone egg cracked. When the slapped little monkey poked his head out of the gap in the stone egg and looked at the world outside the egg with a curious look. 63%. Chapter 359 Super Magical Ability. Wakai looked at the little guy in front of him. He had a wonderful spiritual connection with him. Seeing the other person drilling out of the eggshell and eating his own eggshell, Wakai looked at the toughness of the eggshell and couldn't help but admire its teeth. Check the properties of long-right god monkey. Long-right god monkey. Juvenile god monkey. Strength. 31. Agility. 31. Intelligence. 31. Will of gold. Skills. Agility, foresight, keen sense of hearing, great power for food, attribute transformation. Supernatural powers. Source extraction unlocked, gods and demons unlocked. Owner. Wakai. Loyalty. 100. Smart. Long-right monkey is one of the heaven and earth. It has the ability to communicate with any other creatures. Foresight. Very keen in judging danger, able to make early warning judgments. It has strong ability to perceive Tiandi Lingbao. Keep hearing. Able to hear small sound changes from hundreds of miles away. Golden power. The power of eating metal can ascension long-right god monkey. Attribute conversion. It can convert power to agility, and the conversion is irreversible. Origin extraction. Long-right god monkey is originally a Shantian beast condensed from golden wool, which can communicate the level of ascension will between heaven and earth in a short time. Dharma stage of gods and demons. Summon the origin of heaven and earth gold, awaken the power of magic aspects in the body. After the summoning, the power will increase 100 times. Seeing that he was eating eggshells at his feet while quietly watching the little fellow own, Wakai couldn't imagine that it had aerodynamic strength when he was born with a big palm. And it had 7 talents when it was born, and each of those talents was so powerful that it was abnormal, especially the last 2 talents. If this supernatural power is turned on, the world may not be able to tolerate it. Seeing the other side's clever look, it quickly finished eating the eggshell, not even letting go of the broken shells on the ground, and then staggered to Wakai's side as if it were drunk, and climbed up his clothes along his clothes. Shoulder, and then found a comfortable position that I thought was comfortable, lay down and fell asleep. Huakai watched it fall asleep while still pulling its own clothes tightly, and suddenly thought of a serious question. That's how he brought Chong-right god monkey out of space. He can't carry living things in his portable space, and if he can't take the little guy out, it will be troublesome. With a movement of spirit, Wakai disappeared into the space of Wu Jingjai. He floated over the Death Desert oasis, watching the little guy suddenly lift his head from his shoulders, and finally let go of his heart. The little monkey looked at Wakai, pointed to the lake that was only 100 meters in size below, and signaled him not to go down. Wakai smiled and stroked its little head. This guy is really too smart. Water lizard monster snake. Now that there is no daffodil, this oasis has also lost its water source, and the opponent is not injured. Spiritual Chi added that the injury will only get worse and Wakai is not afraid of the other party now. All the vegetation in the oasis is becoming more and more yellow now. Without spiritual Chi, their energy sources have been cut off. In addition, the water source here has disappeared. Sooner or later, the vegetation here will die. The little monkey saw Wakai continue to fly down. He pulled Hua Kai's clothes anxiously, and suddenly disappeared after yelling to Hua Kai when he could not move. Hua Kai felt the little monkey disappear. He returned to family space and felt that the other party was beside the crystal column in family space. You little clever ghost can still enter and exit the space by yourself. How did you come here? Hua Kai said while looking at the little monkey. The little monkey pointed to the crystal pillar and shouted. Hua Kai felt that the other party meant that it refers to the family luck value. Now the family luck value has reached 80% of the height. Recently, Hua Kai has not used the family luck value and just hopes to upgrade family mentality or martial skill, so that he has a new understanding of the foundation building environment. Maybe he can directly succeed the foundation building. Go get whatever you want. Hua Kai looked at the little monkey and said. I saw that the little monkey got Hua Kai's permission and came to the crystal column. A trace of family luck was slowly drifting towards the little guy. Hua Kai heard the system prompt. System prompt. Your spirit beast long right monkey absorbs family gas luck value and can be set as family animal bones. Are you sure? Hua Kai chose to be sure. Only the little monkey opened his mouth, and the family's luck value turned into an air column and flew towards it. The Hua family's family luck value dropped sharply. After dropping by more than 10,000 points, the little guy stopped then. Come down, leaning against the crystal pillar and fell asleep again. Seeing that the little monkey was not being looked after by anyone, Hua Kai ignored it. He went out of the family space and saw that water lizard monster and snake was getting weaker and weaker in the lake. Now he can kill each other, but he can't do it. Although monster core is very attractive, Hua Kai also has to cherish his life. That water lizard demon snake's hatred of Hua Kai is unimaginable. If he goes down now, the other party will probably choose to explode directly. Returning to family space, Hua Kai informed Shui Chen that he was on his way. Although it took a lot of time in this oasis this time, Hua Kai's gain is huge. Daffodil he intends to keep it for the family to promote to the foundation building realm. And that pearl spirit vessel, he must go back to Jialiu County before considering how to use it. He has used the Sweetwater Spring last time, and he has high expectations for this Ling vessel. Leaving the oasis, Shui Chen is still obsessed with the dying water lizard demon snake. If Hua Kai is much stronger than it, he will have the opportunity to quickly hide in the family space during its self-destruction and take a risk. But he hasn't been in the foundation building yet, and there is little chance of being able to dodge the opponent's life-threatening blow. Its power of law will not give Hua Kai a chance to enter the family space to escape. Continue to walk in the Death Desert for 5 days. In the past few days, the wind and sand in the desert have become bigger. Sometimes they can only walk for a few hours every day. Go ahead slowly. They also encountered a lot of oases on their way, and there are many elixir in these oases. As long as the guarding demonic beasts does not reach the middle stage, Hua Kai and Shui Chen will inspect the oasis again. This day is the 14th day of entering the Death Desert. All the merchant groups in Jialiu County have returned. The Hua family recently issued a new order to review the strength of all families in Jialiu County in March next year and re-grant their families. The review includes 4 aspects of family strength: population, industry scale, contribution and loyalty to Jialiu County. Many families know that this is their most rare opportunity. Out of stock. Many families hope that there will be more auras in their homes, so that they will be rated higher by the audited family. In the past few days, the threshold of Wazawan Mansion has almost been crossed. Many people hope to contract Jialiu County pastures for grazing. This is one of the fastest ways they can increase their family business. The establishment of Hua Kai has become inevitable. The Hua family now owns a county in Jialiu County, plus Beishan and the grassland outside Baoyuguan. Hua Kai has become a novelist giant, and he has the right to be promoted to all families below the 4th rank. If the Chinese family establishes a nation, all the families and families that follow them will inevitably share the dividends. All the families and families in Jialiu City are preparing for the assessment in March next year. The higher the family level, the greater the right to speak in Jialiu County. This is a big opportunity for them. In the north of Donghu grassland, countless motorcades are still transporting Donghu slaves and herders. 1,600 miles north of Donghu Palace, the Azure Dragon Corps and the Donghu Migrating Army are still doing their last entanglement. 5th Lord, the other party seems to be moving. Tang Lei said when he came to Hua Zichen's side. Monitor their nobles and masters. Whoever leaves the migrating army will initiate an assault. The Donghu family will definitely disappear from the grassland this year. Hua Zichen said coldly. After more than a month of chase, the moving army of Donghu King Court was eroded by Azure Dragon Legion and only 20% of the initial scale was left. In order to speed up their migration, they killed the slow-footed sheep and slaves, and then drove the cattle and sheep to flee northward. As if there was a heavy snowfall today, the migrating army was still marching in the snow. Fifth Master, they are going to escape. A Shantian realm came to Hua Zichen's side and shouted loudly. More than a dozen cavalry in the distance quickly rushed out of the migrating army on horseback. These were the banner owners in the royal court. At the last moment, they had to abandon the entire tribe and start fleeing for their lives. Azure Dragon Corps broke up a cavalry squad of more than 200 men. All horses in this cavalry squad were at least full horses. Hundreds of masters above Zochen escorted out more than a dozen nobles and saw the Azure Dragon Corps coming over. Half of the men and horses were separated to stop, and the other half protected the noblemen and continued to escape. It's not this, a squadron will be assigned to pursue, and the others will come with me. Hua Zichen shouted. The heavy snow has arrived. If the royal family wants to survive, abandoning the tribe is the only way. Hua Zichen had been prepared for a long time. He and more than a dozen Shantian realms rode swiftly across the snow, and entered a 500-person escape team, and saw 2 Shantian realms approaching him. Here, Hua Zichen shouted loudly. What they found was the royal family of the Donghu royal family. Only when the Donghu royal family was destroyed this time, their Azure Dragon Legion could be considered as fulfilled. The 2 Shantian realms saw this and gave up the defense completely to quickly kill Hua Zichen, because they knew that if all Azure Dragon soldiers knew that they were the direction of the royal family's escape, it would be impossible to leave the royal family's blood. N.S. Hua Zichen 8 treasure knight armor hangs on his body. Completely not afraid of the opponent's 2 Shantian realm flanking, Tian Longju Ane, Hua Zichen long spear thrust through a Shantian realm chest, then Shantian realm will be hit by a face killed. Hua Zichen must be cautious about Huakai's cohesion, not to mention the early stage of Shantian realm. The Azure Dragon Legion heard that many people here were gathering in the direction of Hua Zichen, and they followed the 500-person escaped team behind them for a while. When Hua Zichen killed the second Shantian realm, he saw that the main force of the opposing royal family had escaped far. Just now these 2 Shantian realms were only riding horses, which gave him a chance to kill each other so easily, but what about their BMWs? It must have been given to members of the royal family. The opponent had already made a precise plan to protect the royal family from fleeing. Hua Zichen thought of this and hurriedly chased the opponent with the Azure Dragon Legion. 64%. Chapter 360. Hua Zichen took thousands of Azure Dragon Corps soldiers, followed by more than 500 elite Wangting, and kept entangled each other, and then the other party separated some people to break, and Azure Dragon Corps killed the opponent after the break and continued to catch up. Although the people after the broken cannot fight for long for the Donghu royal family, they can also slow down the pace of the Azure Dragon Legion a little bit. As the Azure Dragon Legion wiped out the other cavalry units that had fled, they learned that Hua Zichen had found the direction of the opponent's royal family to escape, and they all came to support Hua Zichen in the direction of Hua Zichen. After killing more than a dozen opponents to practice Qi Realm, Hua Zichen felt that his body's karma was beginning to surge again. He took out the kettle from his waist and took a few sips, and the agitation in his heart was suppressed. After catching up with the Donghu royal family, Hua Zichen saw that among the remaining 300 people of the other side, more than 100 horses were actually BMWs, and dozens of direct descendants of the Fenghu family were among this group of BMWs. After chasing each other for 6 hours in the heavy snow, many horses in the Azure Dragon Legion were a little weak. They started to stop to eat the green fodder the owner brought them, and then caught up again after a while. Hua Zichen saw that most of the members of the Azure Dragon Legion had already followed, and the Donghu deserters could not move with hundreds of horses for a while, and they were encircled and annihilated by the Azure Dragon Legion. Kill all the nobles of Donghu, go home victorious. Tang Lei overtook him, and started a fight in the Donghu army. He was the most expensive soothing flower in the Azure Dragon Legion. Everyone hold on, the Donghu people are not good. The Azure Dragon Legionnaire shouted excitedly. In this cold snow, the two sides have been chasing for more than a month, and everyone is physically and mentally exhausted. There is Donghu deserter falling from the horse in front of him. Seeing the horrified reaction of the opponent's lineup, it must be Donghu. Country is an important person. Azure Dragon Corps doesn't care about this. If you can't move, kill it. If your horse can't move, stop to rest, feed some green fodder and spirit liquid to replenish your energy, and then continue to chase. By the afternoon, Hua Zichen is already around. More than 2,000 Azure Dragon Corps soldiers followed. They chased less than 100 deserters ahead and watched the final destruction of Donghu. Shui Pan, shooting the eagle with the divine bow, shot the opponent's last Shantian Zochan master. Tang Lei stepped forward to fight the opponent with hundreds of moves to cut the opponent under the horse, and the opponent was left with more than 20 people riding on the BMW. Persevering, the Azure Dragon Corps Shantian realm rode a horse to chase the opponent quickly. There was a valley ahead, and the road was not very wide. Hua Zichen couldn't help but stop Tianlongju after passing through the valley. Behind him, the Azure Dragon Corps soldiers stopped tightly behind him. I saw that nearly 100,000 cavalry gathered on the other side of the valley, and more than 20 remnants of Donghu King's court entered the cavalry formation. It was only a sigh of relief. These cavalry were soldiers from the major tribes in the northeastern part of Donghu. The southern tribes were drawn by soldiers and horses, and the northern tribes did not move much. Hua Zichen rode on the Tianlong horse, staring quietly at the remnants of the Fenghu family who had fled. The Azure Dragon legionnaires saw the situation through the valley one by one, and they all stopped silently in the back. After a while, Hua Zichen was behind. More and more. Are you trying to shelter the Fenghu family? Hua Zichen asked, riding on the horse, looking at the front of the opponent's Shantian realm. The Hua family has defeated the Fenghu family. No one in the entire northern part of Leopard Yuguan dared to challenge the majesty of the Hua family anymore. The Fenghu family cannot be destroyed. A strong man from the other side said to Hua Zichen. The East Hu country is gone, and the Fenghu family has no meaning to exist. Please get out of the way, otherwise you will all become enemies of the Hua family. There are only 1,000 Azure Dragon cavalry behind Hua Zichen, but the opponent has 100,000 troops. He stares, pressing the opponent's momentum. It seems that the 100,000 army behind him is the owner. Hua family is so arrogant. Although Fenghu family is defeated, our Donghu country is not destroyed. Do you want to fight with us? Just rely on the 1,000 people behind you. A Shantian realm looked at Hua Zichen and said disdainfully. Even if the Hua family wants to clean up the northern tribes of Donghu country, it is not now. The northern tribes of Donghu country are really unwilling to conflict with the Hua family, but Hua Zichen refuses to give up. The two parties negotiated again and again, but they were unwilling to take a step back. Seeing the sky gradually darkened and the two sides were still confronting each other, not willing to leave, Hua Zichen saw that all the Azure Dragon Legion soldiers behind him had almost all returned, and looked at the other Shantians. The Hua family asks again, can the remnants of the Fenghu family be handed over? Hua Zichen said. Come here if you want to fight. Are we afraid you won't succeed? We don't want to cause trouble. Everyone takes a step back. The other party obviously won't take a step back. Perhaps these big tribes want to pull the banner of the Fenghu family to become the king of Donghu again. Anyway, the Fenghu family now has no Shantian realm. Azure Dragon Legion. Hua Zichen shouted. No victory. The entire Azure Dragon army, 4,000 people, shouted loudly, and the snow on the distant hills was shaken down. Kill the enemy with me. Hua Zichen shouted, raising his spear, and all the Azure Dragon Legion soldiers raised their spears. If the Azure Dragon Legion recognizes today, what will be lost is not just the momentum, but the entire Azure Dragon Legion. The heart of victory gathered by countless victories has lost the prestige of the Hua family in the grassland. Kill. Hua Zichen rushed towards the opponent's 100,000 army on horseback, and a scream of killing came from behind him. The tribes of the opposing party did not expect that they would dare to charge at them with only 4,000 people. You must know that King Donghu would not dare to rush into the hundreds of thousands of troops alone while riding in heavy armor. Hua Zichen's combat power was fully deployed. He confronted an opponent's Shantian realm, and saw the opponent's spear stabbing him. He completely ignored it. True Qi burst out with all his strength and knocked the opponent more than 10 meters away before rushing away. The enemy team fought with another Shantian realm. Tang Lei, Hua Peng and others followed closely behind. Shui Pan used shooting the eagle bow to share the pressure in front of him. This lineup is Azure Dragon Corps. The most powerful assault lineup. Hua Zichen is going to attack with all his strength. After the Azure Dragon Corps killed the Eastern Army, the speed did not decrease. The two wings quickly opened up space for the rear cavalry to charge. Everyone is already very clear where and what to do. The Azure Dragon Legion is like a pebble thrown into the water, splashing a wave in the water. Hua Zichen stared in the direction of the remnants of the Fenghu family. He quickly rushed towards the opponent to kill more than 20 people. These Donghu royal families did not expect that the Azure Dragon army would dare to rush to kill their 100,000 troops, and began to flee around. They escaped from Azure Dragon Legion, and other Shantian realms also saw them, and they all rode on their horses and flew towards the Fu Donghu royal family to chase them. The 100,000 coalition forces of the major tribes in the northern part of the East Hu Kingdom killed 4 Shantians when they contacted the Azure Dragon Legion. There were only 8 Shantians in their tribes. They saw the Azure Dragon Legion's ordinary blades stabbing into the East Hu coalition array. The East Hu coalition was easily pierced like a piece of paper. Some tribes could not help but start to move away from Azure Dragon Legion when they saw this place. The Shantians of Azure Dragon Legion beheaded all Fenghu family members and returned to the Azure Dragon Legion. At this time, Hua Zichen saw that the surrounding enemy troops were slowly moving away. They also stopped and signaled everyone to give up killing, and they all followed themselves. Hua Zichen rode Tianlongju wherever he went. All the Donghu army gave way to him. He led the team to leave the Donghu army and came to their front. All Donghu generals in the distance saw them all bowed their heads. The Azure Dragon Corps held its chest and walked slowly 10 meters before the Donghu army. All the Donghu soldiers retreated slowly. This is a peaceful surrender ceremony on the grassland. Wait until Hua Zichen takes the Azure Dragon Corps for more than 2 miles. Seeing that all the East Hu's army had retreated, they turned their heads and ran south. After this battle, the Azure Dragon Corps destroyed the Fenghu family and destroyed the Donghu country. The story that the elite of the 100,000 Donghu did not dare to raise their heads began to spread in the grassland. From then on, no tribes and horse bandits easily approached the leopard Yuguan within 200 miles. After seeing the Azure Dragon Corps pulling hundreds of BMWs back, the entire Donghu Wangding migrating army began to surrender. In mid-October, Hua Zichen led the Azure Dragon Corps to wipe out more than 60,000 soldiers from the Royal Migrating Army, and captured 50,000 soldiers from the other herdsmen, 170,000 slaves, more than 50,000 horses, more than 290,000 cattle, and 800,000 sheep. The Hua family sent a total of more than 50,000 people and 3,000 carriages to bring these captives and livestock back to Jialiu County. They were transported from the end of September to mid-December before they were gradually shipped out. Huakai learned from the space that Uncle Wu has completely destroyed the Fenghu family, and all members of the Fenghu family have been killed. This time the Azure Dragon Corps killed nearly 100,000 enemies in the grassland. This is all attributable to the magical effect of ancient flower. Take out a few fruits from the portable space. The little monkey quickly jumped on him when he smelled the fruit. He took a fruit from his hand and ate 2 bites and then threw it away. He took another fruit and tasted it and threw it away, climbing onto his shoulders while tugging at his ears, hissing, "Don't pull my ears, pull a couple of golds and you won't eat it." Hua Kai looked at the little monkey on his shoulder and said to him. The little monkey actually let go of Hua Kai's ears when he heard it. Yelling softly seems to be to please Hua Kai. This little monkey Hua Kai has been taught in the past few days, saying that he is smart to trick or treat. He is the number one. He likes to eat fruit and wild animal meat every day, but he doesn't eat much. He just likes to eat gold, and he doesn't even look at silver. Just throw it away. Eat 12 taels of gold and go to bed, and when he wakes up, his strength will be ascension, and then in a few days his strength will be transformed to agility inexplicably. Long right God Monkey, Juvenile God Monkey. Strength, 38. Agility, 35. Intelligence, 33. The Will of Gold, the third layer, 7%. Skills, agility, foresight, keen sense of hearing, great power for food, attribute transformation. Supernatural powers. Source extraction unlocked, gods and demons unlocked. Owner, Hua Kai. Loyalty, 100. A few days after its birth, it has such attributes, that is, it plays with Hua Kai, Shui Chen and other core members of the Chinese family all day long in the family secret realm space. If it encounters a Kaiyuan realm, it may be able to play with each other, injured. It may be able to play with each other, injured. It may be able to play with each other, injured.